the Roadshow Podcast.
I'm experiencing that now at work, right? I've got multiple horizons going on, and I realized this week I'm becoming like a blocker in the flow because I want my touch to be on everything.
Yeah.
But I've just got to launch these things and then, give people the right budget, the support and everything like that, know that it's going in the right direction, and then stop being that funnel. Because otherwise I become the block in the middle of all these opportunities. Like, I had people come to us today, they're like, I was waiting on a decision on that for like a day or 2 days. And I'm like, you could have made a decision and run with it. But I had forced that scenario where I was going like, just run it past me, or I'll help, or I'll do this,
Right. Yeah.
But that's what happens when every time your, the deal flow or the workload or anything starts to get to a certain size, that's when certain things start to show, certain things start to crack, people start to crack.
Correct.
It's not until that point. Like, anyone can look good when they're nailing it.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah, fuck yeah, I agree with that 100%. How did you manage what you managed with the camels? Because people are one thing,
yeah.
And if you got this cohort of like your business ventures and stuff, I would assume that would be way more like easier because you can communicate with the people than what you did with the camels.
There was a year of training and preparation. You don't go from being in business and I was having a good fun. You do well in business and you're a young guy. You have a bit of fun as well,
of course.
And I had nothing at all to do with animals or outback kind of life other than grabbing a few mates, a four-wheel drive and, filling it with grog and fishing rods.
Yeah.
That's as close as I got to an outback lifestyle. So it took me a year to kind of really prep myself for what I was going to go through.
Right.
And the decision to leave after a year of training preparation was realizing I will never be prepared for what I'm about to go through. So I was kidding myself thinking that all the gear and all the training would prepare me, but it was more so preparing yourself to become a problem solver no matter what got thrown at you. Because you can't prepare for the random kind of scenarios that you're going to go through when you're taking 6 camels through cities, countries, on boats, barges, trucks, to do a 12,500 kilometre trek. Like,
wow.
There's no one had really done a trek like that before as well. So someone would give you a little bit of advice about what you might expect at different bits, but no one had taken everyone had done one little bit of that trip, but no one had really combined it into what that became.
Okay, right. So what was the extent of the entire trip?
So the original plan was to take 4 camels from one side of Australia to the other, in a fairly straight line, which would have been about 5,000 Ks. And we ended up about 300 Ks in, deciding this is pretty good. We took off from Bundaberg, a little place called Elliott Heads, just near Bundaberg in Queensland. And 200 or 300 Ks in, I'm like, why am I rushing home? Well, not rushing, 4.5 Ks an hour, but why am I heading straight home? Like, I haven't spent much time on the East Coast in country towns. There's no pubs that way. There's like a heap if I head south. And for a while, I was just really plugging in, like, where's the closest pub or next town, and just started wandering south. And people started asking which direction you're heading. So I set a destination to Canberra to start off. It's like, I got family in Canberra. I'll head down there, might make it for Christmas. So that was the first plan. Got to Canberra. People were going, where are you going next? I said, I'll keep going south. And I just kept on saying, I'm going to keep heading south. I ran out of mainland in Wilson's Prom, down in the bottom of Victoria.
What's mainland?
The mainland Australia. So I
okay.
I ran out. Like, I hit the most southern point.
I thought you were talking about like some grassland or some shit like that.
No, ran out of.
Yeah, okay.
I ran out of Australia.
Hectic, dude.
So we put them all on a boat and kept going south.
Whoa.
So we shipped all of the camels to Tasmania. And
how did they enjoy the boat?
They were actually pretty good.
Yeah?
Like, we hired a 40-foot stock crate. Put them on the toll boat, and then we went down the east coast of Tasmania.
Okay.
And we hit Cockle Creek, which is the most southern point of Tasmania, so the actual most southern point of Australia. So I hit the most southern road. That makes it pretty much one of the most southern camel treks in world history.
Whoa.
Because who takes camels into the southern parts of the world.
Was that the first time camels had been to Tasmania?
There was so many camels in Tasmania.
What?
Like pets. There was I trained a lot of camels in Tasmania because there's not many camel blokes that wander through Tassie, right? So anyone who had a camel sees the opportunity to go, can you show me what to do with this thing that I've got? You know,
Whoa.
So I was training one in a rescue centre. I went to...
Are they native to there?
No.
Just people shipping them over?
Just people shipping them over.
Whoa. We got too many apples.
They were in zoos.
Fucking camels.
They were in zoos. And this
zoos?
This zoo comes up to me. I won't mention the name of this zoo. This zoo comes up to me and they say, oh, look, can you help us train this big bull camel we've got, nearly 20 years old, and a couple of girls? And
you ain't training that bull,
mate. These are I started with him.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
shit.
He'd never really been handled much. It was just out in the paddock.
Whoa.
And it was the most surreal moment. Like 2.5, 3 years earlier, I'm sitting in an office doing some insurance broking, all right, and never touched a camel in my life. And then I've got these 20 years been in the industry, you know, all watching me intently, looking like Steve Irwin, like, oh, hanging on to every word. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, you are now consulting to zookeepers on how to train their camel. So I start off doing all right. Then it starts to become a bit comical. The bull starts to get one over me, so I'm just chasing it around the paddock. Look like, you know, it's like... yeah. And then my two-way radio starts to go off, and we hear, oh, we've got a dog in the Tasmanian devil enclosure. So my dog has escaped from where it was, and it's jumped into the Tasmanian devil enclosure. So that was wild. That was the morning shift.
Shit.
Afternoon.
Any damage to the dog, by the way?
Nothing. No. So he got back out.
Okay, good.
And then I start. Oh well, that bull was a bit hard. We'll start on the girls. Now the girls are sharing a paddock with an ostrich. And this ostrich started to show a bit of a fancy to me, like male ostrich, and it's coming up. It's got this like 3-pronged penis. So it's coming up doing its dance. The 3-pronged penis is like coming out at me.
What?
I'm trying to hold this camel here, and then I've got my phone out trying to Google how do you handle a horny ostrich, right? The first article that comes up on Google is a story about a zookeeper where the ostrich fell in love with the zookeeper and kept trying to fuck him. So I'm like, this is not helping. So I got I got an audience whilst this is happening, losing their shit. So let's just say my I suppose brief experience with showing zookeepers how to train camels
it was over quick.
It wasn't good. Haven't been asked back.
Do you still get text messages from the ostrich? Why did you leave me?
I tell you what, that's a dick pic you don't want.
No.
Like, anyone who's listening to this, do yourself a favour, Google ostrich cock, and then clear your search history after.
Yeah, I've seen them before. Like, it's a funny thing, the different bird dicks. Like, have you seen a duck's dick?
No.
It's like a corkscrew.
Yeah, that's like a pig as well, right?
Yeah. Weird shit. Like, what about a turtle's cock? You ever seen that?
Is that the?
It goes out and then slates.
Yeah.
It's like it looks like Batman's car. Like,
I thought you were going to say it looks like Batman's cock. I haven't seen that.
Same shit. The Batwing. Yeah, no, fuck, dude. That would have been fucking wild to think. To even have that thought that you were selling insurance.
Yeah, so I was in that for 10 years. Well, had my company for 10 years. And
what was the thing that pushed you to walking with animals?
Yeah, look, it's not really a thing. I think everyone wants the nice, neat package, right? Some kind of trigger, because we all have those days or those moments where we fantasize about like walking away or living or experiencing a different life, you know, and sometimes that comes at a point where we've had some kind of trigger where there's been some kind of emotional, relationship breakdown, financial kind of matter or bankruptcy or, something with your kids, your health or whatever it is. Like there's some kind of trigger. It's generally a shitty one. That it kind of pushes you into action. Sometimes it's forced on you, or sometimes it just gives you a new perspective to kind of go off and experience this, completely different, life-changing experience. But I didn't really have that. But I had plenty of people around me that did experience that. I had a close friend that went from being worth about 40 mil to bankrupt in 12 months. And he's a good, very close friend of mine.
Wow.
We've all had friends that have had the health scares. I had plenty of those. Definitely all had the mates that have been through the divorce.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's a common one.
you got a few questions after that, right? So I was living life where I wasn't just burning the candle at both ends. I was looking for more ends to light up. You know, like a lot of party, a lot of work. You know, the work hard, play hard thing. So I knew my moment, my trigger was going to come, whether I liked it or not. I could pull the trigger now voluntarily, or I could wait and continue to engage in high risk kind of activities. And when you're pushing yourself that hard, that's a fairly high risk kind of environment. Maybe not when you're in your late 20s and early 30s, but it's definitely going to get that way. So I was questioning a lot of things, and I think I also had I'd grown a company to a point where I was doing quite well, and the things that I told myself, like, once you've got this, once you've got that car, you've got the house, you've got that thing, then all of a sudden life becomes inherently easier, or, you know.
It's a false ideology.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I had just enough of a taste of the nice stuff to realise it wasn't that.
Yeah.
So that combined, I suppose, for me to realise that I wanted to spend time doing something else, and it didn't really matter what it was. I chose that to call it like an adventure. I'm going to take on a big adventure, and I spent 12 to 18 months preparing the company myself, moving out of the house and putting everything in storage, putting the company under management, and preparing for what was going to come, even though I had no idea what form that adventure was going to take.
Wow.
So the fact that I didn't wait for the trigger gave me the time to plan and the time to put in place protecting what I had built over the time, so I didn't have to walk away from it. And it was only about 2 months before the camel trek, the preparations for the camel trek started, that camels even came up.
Really?
So
What?
I'd had.
So initially it was just a walk.
No, it wasn't even a walk. I was saying, well, do I take a motorbike? You know, do I learn how to sail?
So it was just an idea for an adventure.
Yeah.
Just go adventure.
And a challenge.
Adventure.
Like, you know, not just, I didn't want to just sit on a beach and drink cocktails or something like that. I wanted to take something on.
Yeah. You wanted to struggle.
Yeah. And it didn't really matter what form, to be honest. Like, it had to push me out of my comfort zone and be something that I had no idea whether I could do it or not.
Ooh,
I needed the doubt. I needed to doubt myself, and I needed to engage with it regardless of my confidence in it. So
well, that kind of makes sense though, because if you'd been put yourself through the sales entrepreneurialism lifestyle, you're like conquering constantly, conquer, and then it just goes flat because you're like, well, I've got all this stuff, I've got all this shit that's just around me now, and I have the, if you will, proverbial success in life.
Yeah.
Then you're like, well, what else is there?
And it's almost like chasing that feeling of, you know, when you first left employment and started up, you know, and
risk.
Yeah, some people are supporting you. Some people are, you know, oh, he's never going to make it. Or, but that healthy kind of mix. I always think when you're in that zone, you need a couple of people like really in your camp, like supporting you, and a couple of people to go, that guy's fucked. You know, he's never going to make it. Because you need a couple of people beside you in the battle, and you need a couple of people to say, fuck, I told you.
Yeah.
I told you I'd get there.
Yeah. Well, that was the same with me in the start of this podcast. I had the first ever comment I got on YouTube was, what made you think you can do this? I fucking screenshot that and had that as my background on my phone for fucking 6 months.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the reason as to why I can do this.
Yeah.
And you think I can't.
You need that healthy mix, right, though?
Yeah,
you need
time.
a couple of people in your camp, but you also need a couple of people saying no.
If you've got too many people kissing your ass, though, you get this false ideology of yourself.
Yeah.
And then when you go out and do some struggling shit, and you've not like had any infallibility, then you fail. And you're like, oh, it's devastating.
Yeah.
I hear that too many times.
And it probably reflects the internal dialogue you have in yourself.
Yeah, I think so.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, there's a part of you going, you know, yeah, what are you doing here? You're not going to make it. I suppose I struggled with that a lot in the first year. So a lot of people were asking why why are you doing this? What the hell? Like, where you come from, city in Perth, and now you're learning how to tame and train wild camels. Like, why the hell are you doing it? And that's a hard question to answer when you don't have one. Like, you don't have a why, or you haven't really structured it. You know, I knew that leaving was right. I knew that taking on an adventure was right, but they're wanting specifics about why camels and why this and why that, and I didn't really have an answer. So,
well, I'd assume at the beginning you hadn't gone through the philosophical struggle of finding that reason why.
And I didn't really care at the start. Like, it was just like, this is new, this is fun, this is exciting. So, there's a bit of the, it's a new shiny thing that kind of dragged me through the start. And
dirty, hairy thing.
Yeah.
Four of them.
And I did about 3 weeks of training courses, basically. And
what is the courses? Like, is there people out there that train people how to wrangle camels? Right.
So there's a combination. Some people who have some actual courses, and then people who are just happy to show you what they know. So at the start, I did some official courses, but then over the year, I was connected with other people and camel operators, and there was a few people that are in that kind of circle that really jumped behind us and supported us. There was a camel dairy, Camelot Camel Dairies, Wayne and Mel. They jumped in, helped us out a lot, stayed at their house with all their camels for 3 odd months.
Does a camel produce milk?
Well, the female ones do, yeah.
What's that like? Have you
So
had
do
that?
the male ones. That's not good.
No.
That's not good.
That's that French milk.
Good for a cappuccino.
Have you had camel milk before?
Yeah, camel milk's, it's a bit of a vibe. So if you're lactose intolerant, then you can generally, it's much lower in allergens that, so you can, generally people who are lactose intolerant can have camel milk. But, everything's kind of the new superfood. That's kind of right up there now as well. There's a lot of other properties to it as well. There's Summerland camels, Q camels. There's 2 operators, dromedary, and I can't remember the name of the other one in WA. So I think all up there's about 6 or 7 camel dairies around Australia. Wow. And more, it's growing. So we've got about 1 million camels in Central Australia. So we're not exactly short on the product. It's there's quite a challenge to milk. You get less milk than a cow. And you can generally only milk them once a day, and then the kid's got to go back on, so they don't milk for as long as a cow as well.
Interesting. Because they're not a bovine creature, right?
I have no idea. Bovine.
They don't have hoofs, right? They
No.
have toes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so bovine are hoofs.
Yeah, no, they're flat-footed. It's almost like a soft dog paw underneath them. So it feels like a car tire almost underneath.
Interesting.
So they're not the most stable animal on slippery surface, which I found out in Jameson. We took a tumble off a cliff with a couple of them.
How the fuck did that happen? You mean a tumble, like a fall?
Yeah, we had a full emergency services rescue. So this is weirdly enough, like just as we fell off the cliff, my GPS ticked over exactly 3,000 Ks. When I hit the emergency response thing, it pauses the tracker, and it paused on exactly 3000. So I was like, whoa. That was like, how you watch an odometer tick over, you're like, cool. Like, there was something about that. So this particular, I'll start from the beginning of going through the Victorian high country. So the original plan was to go down towards Melbourne. COVID hit, and I'm not going anywhere near one of those major cities whilst this COVID thing's on. So I took a left at Mansfield and went up through the Victorian high country, and I was like, I'm just going to go over the top of a mountain with these camels. So going through Jameson over the top of Mount Skeen to a small town called Lacola. But this is a fairly decent sized mountain, and we're talking winter time as well. So mountaineering in the snow with camels. So I spoke to some locals, got a bit of advice about a potential track to take, and I got a bit of a bum steer. I end up on this goat track. So we're a 15 metre long, 2 metre wide camel train and we've got drop-offs down the side of this cliff, 50 to 100 metres, and we're hard up against a wall. There's no turning around. You just got to keep going. So
is there any fear in the camels at this point? Has their demeanour changed if they notice a drop off or anything like that?
No, they seem to
pretty calm.
They seemed pretty cool. Like they weren't stressing out too much.
Right.
We saw some bad weather coming in, so I saw a little hut on the map, and I thought I'll just push to that hut, and then we're going to wait the weather out.
Right.
And got to the hut, tie these camels up. We're literally on the side of this mountain, and staying in one of the high country huts, and this weather kicked in. We had nearly 200 mils of rain over 48 hours.
Whoa, that's landslide kind of
full
rain.
on.
Yeah.
Because it happened so quick, and it was like real torrential rain. And you're on the side of such steep embankments that the whole thing just turns into this slippery kind of mudslide. There's water going down everywhere. And the Jameson River now, whole trees are going down it. Like it's just tearing down because every single one of these mountains is feeding that river.
Whoa.
So I waited about another 48 hours for the ground to dry out because, like I said, soft-footed animal, like they're going to be sliding and we're going to be on that tight track. I decide better the track I know. I'm going to head straight back out the same way. You've got about 7 Ks to get to a four-wheel drive track where I'm going to be a little bit easier tracking. So I'm about halfway through this, and there's a massive big waterfall coming over the track, and I'm like, I can't turn around, can't stop, got to keep pushing through this. At this stage, I had 5 camels. I've got 4 large camels, all boys, and then I've got a little calf at the back. So he's not carrying, he's just kind of tagging along for the ride. So they're all kind of hooked together from neck, and then it goes through the saddle to the neck of the camel in front. Neck to neck to neck.
Is it binded at each point?
Yeah, so each one's independent.
Okay, yeah, cool.
But they're all attached one to the other, to the next to the next.
Yep.
So I'm like, I can't stop. As soon as I stop, and they've got to think, if they step out the side, we're stuffed. I've just got to push through this water.
Yeah.
So push through this water. First 2 camels make it through all right. Second camel, I just hear this noise, and I look back. This camel's starting to hang out. The track has given way underneath him. So now I've got the camel in the middle that's starting to fall off the side. So he's got to pull the whole lot down. So I've got not much time to figure out what we're going to do. Like, you're going to make a call quick because otherwise you're going to lose all 5. So I was like, all right, I'm going to jump. I let go of everything. Wants you to pull forward, but that's not going to get these camels through. In fact, I might even pull the back ones off. So I just decided to let go of the front, run around the side. I get to the side now. I'm hanging off the cliff slightly, holding onto the side of the camel. Grab onto the knife that's on my side belt, and I cut the ropes around the neck, and then me and that camel are in free fall. So I go off first. I get about 20 metres down, and I start hitting into these blackberry bushes. So get into the blackberry bushes. They start to grab onto me, slow me down, hit this little bit of a ledge, a sharly kind of rock, and then that's when the camel, boom, comes down, smash straight into me. So that camel hits me. It's about 800 kilos and 200 kilos of bag weight on it.
So a ton.
Yeah, and straight through. And I watch this camel start rolling down, and he's not too graceful. He's not tucking. He's going over. I thought his legs are going to be broken. That camel's fucked.
Yeah.
And even if his legs don't break, he's heading straight to the river, like with a 200 kilo,
he's drowning.
Dead weight. He's gone.
Yeah.
But he hits this tree about 10 meters before the water, and I'm like, holy fuck, he can. Like, I think he'd be right, So I start trying to get out of this blackberry bush, and then the next minute, and get my face licked. The dog's the only fucking idiot that's jumped, launched off. So he's down, ready for action.
Yeah.
Rip out of all these blackberries. For about the next month or so afterwards, I was still picking all the thorns out of my hands. Like, you're just really trying to rip out. Like, adrenaline's kicked in. So clothes and everything is starting to rip off. I get down to this camel, and he's lying down over on his side. He can't get up because of all those bags.
Yeah.
I start cutting the gear off him and pulling off the saddles, pulling off the bags, and fuck me dead, he stands up. So I was like, he's not even limping on one of his legs. He's not, favouring one of his legs. He's not taking any pressure off. Like, yeah, he doesn't seem to be lame or anything. So,
whoa, shaking up though.
Oh yeah,
I assume
he's yelling.
Yeah.
He's
Oh
screaming.
really?
So he's really let me know that he's questioning my leadership on this day.
Why you take us down this trail, you dumb fuck?
So, across a mountain, they said. And so I stand him up, but then we're down the bottom of a cliff now. So what do we do? So it was quite steep going down that bit. That's why the water was pouring down through there. So I decided I had about 2.5 meters, 3 meters of rope tied because he's lost all his lead ropes that's up there.
Yeah.
So grabbed some ropes out of the bag, tie it on, and I had a shovel on us there as well. So I literally have to start digging these side goat tracks in towards the next tree, walk him along, anchor him to the tree, dig the next track. So I got about an hour and a half. I'm doing that, and I'm probably about halfway up, and got him to a spot where I'm confident that maybe he's going to be okay whilst I go and check what's happening with the other camels, because I've got no idea what's happening up there. So I get back up onto the top of the track. The camel that's at the back with the little one attached to him, he's a lazy fuck. He's Bill the Bastard. So if he doesn't get told to move, he doesn't move. He hasn't moved.
That's good.
So it's time to the tree. I'm like, for once, I wasn't yelling at Bill the Bastard. Nice work. So tie him up. He's good. I walk up around the track, and as soon as I get around, I see 2 more camels off the side, and I'm like, fuck.
No.
I was thinking I could pull out of this before as soon as I see that, and it's probably about midday or thereabouts, and we're in winter, so we're going to lose light from 5. I'm like, this is more than a 5-hour situation. If I call emergency services or hit the emergency services button on my nav system, they're going to take several hours to get out there. So they're going to be able to drive into a certain point, but they're going to have to walk in 4 odd Ks to kind of get to us as well. So, and they've got to organise the rescue attempt. So I set it off. I messaged a couple of people from the previous town that I knew who were in the CFA, Victoria, in the fire services. And they start to coordinate themselves, and they say, we'll be there in about 3 hours, maybe 4. So I see the rescue chopper come over, and I'm like, that's fucking useless. They're not going to be able to help.
Because they can't bear that much weight, can they? A helicopter like that.
Oh, and we're under the canopy and stuff as well. That'll be, and you're going to pick them up and just like Operation Jumbo Drop. Next town, thanks.
Yeah. Just lonely camels, just one at a time.
Bring back a 6-pack as well. My mission then was to just get everything set for the rescue, come up with a plan, so that when they got there, they weren't trying to figure stuff out. I had the camels in a position where they could be kind of pulleyed back up onto the track. So got all the bags as best as I could up on the track. The ones that were right down the bottom of that cliff, I'm like, I can't get those back up. So I just written that off. The gun was down there, so I took the gun back up and just left everything else down there. And the rescue crew comes, and they said they've never had a rescue coordinated by the guy getting rescued, but they had all the gear and it was pretty good.
Yeah. So what was the vehicles of choice that they used?
They had the walk-in. So we're doing rope pulley systems.
Right.
We just needed more people and more rope in order to get there. And then
was it a 3-point pulley?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but just with the rope system. Yeah.
That's cool.
So that was just enough encouragement to help the camels kind of get up, but they really needed to work with us.
Now, those other 2 camels that dropped off, how far were they down?
They were only about 10, 15.
Oh, okay,
so it wasn't too bad.
It wasn't as bad.
Couple of rolls, but they were attached together, so
no damage on them.
All good.
Whoa, they got out lucky, bro.
Really lucky.
Whoa.
I don't know. I didn't know how long they were on their side as well. And if they're on their side for too long,
they can
then
collapse their lungs and all that stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
So we've been very lucky. Back up on track. I load them up. We're going to walk out now because,
what else are you going to do?
Yeah. So load them up, all except Arthur, the one who took the tumble down the cliff. He just gets to free ride because all his gear's down the bottom.
Yeah.
And as I'm walking off, it's pitch black now. So now we've got the last 4Ks of the track, same track in pitch black. And they're abseiling down to recover all the gear.
Oh, what?
And these absolute fucking legends from Victoria Police, and not too many people at that stage were big on the Victorian police, but the country police, they're bloody good. So the Victorian police, CFA and SES recovered all that gear from down there and then carried out my camel packs on their back.
Whoa.
Some of those are, 30 odd kilo.
Yeah.
Right. So they carried that out.
Like ex-military? What the fuck?
One of the bigger bags, I think it was Sergeant Crawford from Jameson.
Right.
He just chucks it on, and he's not a big fella.
Yeah.
Just gets it on, and I was like, did you just pick up that bag? He's like, no, I carried it the whole way. It's like, so they get us all out. We get to the end. The next day, a vet comes out, checks the camels, and then I'm like, I don't have access to a doctor. You want to just check me? Like, vet. It's better than nothing, right?
Yeah. Bend over.
Yeah. The thermometer was good. And
Camel one, it's like that.
And then we're off trekking again.
Right.
So we head off trekking. We get to the top of Mount Skeen 3-4 days later, and we get trapped in a snowstorm for 2 days.
For fuck's sake.
So now when we get up to the top of of Mount Skeen, pull up. There was a couple of little mounds of snow. That's about it. That night, 140, 150 odd kilometre hour winds come in. 2 foot of snow gets dumped on us.
You still had the baby at the back?
So we're camped out.
Okay.
We've got to sit this storm out.
Right.
Sitting out a storm on top of mountains,
That's rough, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty rough sleep. But I had a filmmaker with us at the time, so we got to capture a lot of that, which was cool.
Is this all on YouTube?
No, so this will come out in the doco later. So I'll tell you a bit more about that shortly.
All right.
So we're waking up every hour because we have to brush the ice off the camels so they don't freeze over.
Whoa!
And this is happening for a couple of days.
That's like a car in England.
We're pouring the hot water over the windscreen. But it was insane to be in. Like my nerves are like popping through the roof. I'm like, you don't want to get this far in, and you're starting to become really attached to these animals, and I'm starting to really question my leadership in it as well. But
whoa,
we got through that. We get below the snow line, decide to have a few drinks because we made it through. We've conquered the mountain.
Warm up a bit.
Too many drinks. Wake up the next day, camels are gone. So we've gone from cliff fall to snowstorm to lost camels in the Victorian high country, hungover.
They're like, we don't trust this fuck anymore.
So they've taken off.
Yeah. Down the mountain, I assume.
That's what I would have assumed for the first 6 hours until we saw footprints in the snow. They're back up on the top of the mountain in the snow at the last camp. That's where we found them.
Whoa.
7 hours later.
So they went back.
They went back. Yeah.
Why?
So anytime that they kind of run away or went for a little bit of a wander, and we're in areas where there's no other camels and they're not really following anything else, they always seem to follow their own scent. Follow their own trace.
Right.
So in an area they're not familiar with, they will go the only place they know, which is where they just came from. So, because that's where home is.
Ants do that too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, ants do that too. If you ever see a trail of ants and then you remove the dirt from where their trail is, they will follow back the way they came. Always.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I think it's just an inherent thing.
Yeah.
Like I'd assume humans would do that too.
Oh no, I think we're forged through into the unknown.
Yeah, that's kind of how we got iPhones, right?
Yeah.
I love that quote is, if I drop you in the middle of the desert with a hatchet, how long before you can send me an email?
I'd go through months on end, no reception, not seeing a human, and I'd still pull my phone out of my pocket and check it.
Really? No reception.
Just occasionally, you're just grabbing your phone. What are you expecting to see? But
French porn.
Yeah.
No, well, dude, I do that, and I was doing it on the airplane coming back from England. I was literally like, wait, there's no reception up here. Why do I keep doing this? It's like I was the same with vapes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to quit vaping.
So you successfully quit vaping?
Yeah, I had to start smoking cigarettes to quit vaping.
Oh, the natural herb-based alternative.
Yes. Yes, exactly. But I can't handle like the harshness of cigarettes, so I ultimately wanted to get off cigarettes. But it was like probably 4 packs of cigarettes until I had to stop smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
So, but that stopped me from vaping because, like, I would have never stopped vaping.
Yeah.
I was probably 10 years deep on vaping.
I reckon. So I was a cigarette smoker. Stopped smoking cigarettes. Smoked cigars for 7 years.
Yeah.
Started the camel trek. I'm like, it's not good. Like, it's not good for the camel man image to be smoking cigars.
Imagine that, though.
So I switched to
Front of a book.
rollies. You got to be rollies, right? You got to have the rollie on the lip.
Yeah,
I was So I went to
feather
rollies.
in your hat.
You nailed it. This is the point where I'll give you a photo exactly like that with the rollie, the feather. Just put it up. Fucking nailed it. And then last 6 months of the trip, switched to, I had one vape. So I stopped smoking and I made one vape last for about 5 months. And
Sick.
And got back and now I vape.
Yeah,
And I reckon
right.
I've got to get back on the smokes
To get rid of it.
to quit. I reckon.
Yeah. Do you find it's as taxing on the lungs as smoking?
I haven't run tests.
You don't just have like a general day to day?
No, like every single time I've thrown something at my body's gone, yeah, right, this is what we're doing, and it's just kind of got on with it. Yeah, so
John's at it again.
You're sitting down in the office and you go into long lunches, and then the next minute you're doing a 12,000 kilometre walk. I mean, and the body held up really well. And it went one blister in the whole 3.5 years.
Whoa.
Couple of lower back issues, but I got on top of them in the first 12 months or so.
Did you have like a couple humps in your back? Nah.
But the body just kind of
Adapts.
It adapts and it gets on with it. Just learn to kind of listen to your body a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I never puffed out or anything like that, even though I was smoking rollies on the trip.
Interesting.
It's a funny story. Like I'd never run a marathon before, and I went to Kenya to run this marathon. This is 2015, I think. And we got in high altitude as a cigar smoker back then, and I rock up. I hadn't really done much training for this thing. I was like, fucking how hard can it be? And it turns out quite hard.
You reckon?
And I'm about 3/4 of the way through this marathon. There's this old local dude, and he's sitting down on the side of the road, and he's having a rollie. And I look at that one, fuck, I'm banging for a smoke. So I go to him, can I have a smoke? He's like, yeah, no dramas. He passed it over. I start running off, and that's not tobacco. So this old black dude's getting blazed on the side of the road watching white people attempt to run, right? Having the afternoon of his life. They call that running. So, but that worked perfectly.
Was it weed?
I'd recommend if you're doing a marathon and you're not good at marathon, even if you are good at marathons, blaze it up at like 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah.
I heard take 2 Panadol 3/4 of the way through. No, straight past that.
Yeah.
Straight onto this.
Yeah.
And they've got those doping games coming up. Have you heard about that?
No. Enlighten me.
So there's a billionaire fella who's gone, let's just take away all the drug restrictions.
I have heard of this.
Yeah. And just see what humans can do.
See what happens.
But everyone's talked about that. Like they should just have
That's
one
what the
special.
Olympics should be, I think.
Well, now they've got this one. Like they have both.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Nobody's going to watch the Olympics anymore.
And I think,
No way.
No.
Every woman is going to be wrestling is going to come out like Brock Lesnar. Giant traps and shit.
It's like, would you go to the V8 supercars if it was like they were taking it out of the showroom and just around the track? Or do you want to see the ones that have been fully worked up?
Yeah.
You know, no one goes to the car manufacturer's showroom championship, you know?
That's true. Yeah, I want to see it like pushed to its limits.
Yeah.
What's going to split the fucking engine mounts? I
Yeah.
want to see that.
It's going to end up being like, do you want to go watch the go-kart, championships?
Yeah.
Or do you want to go to the F1?
Who wants to watch Missionary? Double anal penetration every single day, bro.
I heard this one the other day. A girl walks in on her partner and catches him in front of the laptop and looking after himself. She's like, I don't get it. You've got me right here. Why do you want to watch 2 people on the internet have sex and do that? He's like, 2 people?
He's on the Camel website. Oh shit! So, did you ever have, apart from the film crew, did you ever have anybody else like walk with you?
So out of about the 12,500 Ks, I had someone with me, say, for about four and a half of it.
Whoa! Who were they?
So had the filmmaker Cam Watt. He came out and probably did about 6 months all up with us. So during the training and preparation, he filmed the first moments that I was experienced it, like a camel training kind of thing.
Whoa.
He was there during some of the deepest and darkest kind of points of it as well. We became really good mates, obviously, throughout the trip. You sit in the middle of the desert with no other humans. Well, the closest human being to you is the International Space Station when it goes over your head.
Whoa.
You forge a pretty good relationship, you know?
I'd assume so.
It was pretty good. And we had,
you want to leave that motherfucker in the desert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm fine. So, and
Cam what? Cam who? Cam how?
and had a couple of girls join us along the way. So
Nice.
French girl, funny
Oi.
enough, her name was Camille,
Oh, Camille.
and Belle
From cities, I imagine, or were they just tourists?
different parts. Cam was a French backpacker, just got rid of her car and started walking with us.
Oh, wow.
And Belle's girl came over, Australian girl, but she came over from the US and joined us for a couple of months nearly.
Whoa.
And we had Sandrine, German, who joined us down in Tasmania, just a lot of tight, windy roads down there. So I needed someone to do traffic management behind. So
Okay, right, yeah.
she did that for a bit. And I did have a girlfriend on and off for the first 8-9 months. It's like a FIFO thing. I'd fly her in from Perth and she would join us for like a week or two and then fly back to normal life.
Yeah.
I could get that. A FIFO girlfriend, that
It works out.
it works out. It works pretty good.
Yeah. Apparently, the flip side of that is not so good. A lot of people that go FIFO, don't they end up like fucking a bunch of people on the camp?
Well, I had the odds stacked in my favour. It was me or the camels out there. So.
And they're a bit too hung. Yeah. Fucking Bill the Builder. Was that his name? Bill the Builder?
Bill Bastard.
Bill the Bastard.
Yeah, we had, so the camels, we had Ted,
Yeah.
Jackson, Arthur, Cam, Bill and Charlie.
All males.
All males.
So there's not like elk, how they rut and then they start fighting each other. Or
Yeah.
It's same.
So we only had one of my boys was entire, only one had his nuts. So the rest I took out.
Smart.
But as you're going through Central Australia, we had about 70 bull camel attacks as I went over. About 40 we had to go down, had to put down, but that would mainly be during the rut season.
Yeah.
So there's around about 1 million wild camels in Central Australia. And when you're going through in rut season, especially through the areas I went, which is above the Tropic of Capricorn.
Okay, right.
Going along
Quite
there.
central, yeah.
And it was a really bumper season as well. Whoa. So 100 odd mils of rain went through those western deserts just before I went through. So they're well fed, well watered, hungry and horny. And it's a territorial thing. They want us. There's 3 groups of camels that kind of roam out there. You got the family pack, which will be the big dominant bull and his harem of girls and a couple of young calves. Once the young bull calves get up to a certain size, they become a threat to his kind of dominance, so they kick him out. And they form these bachelor packs. And then the bachelor packs will also have a dominant bull, all right, that leads that pack. And anytime one of the bulls challenges for the leadership, he gets kicked out and he becomes a solo rogue bull camel.
So like a lone wolf.
Lone wolf. And he doesn't want to be a lone wolf. Everything about him wants to be a part of a pack.
Right.
So he sees a pack like mine. He picks the biggest and ugliest one. He wants to fight to the death and take over the leadership of that pack, and then he's not alone.
What's their method of attack?
So they generally just come in, like they'll start charging from, sometimes up to 1 kilometre away. So once they get that whiff and they get an eye on, they'll just start that run in, and they're coming in, throwing their head around. You'll notice some going out there with their jaws, kind of bottom jaw ripped off. They're trying to get like a lock around by a neck and get them down, choke them out. biting them on the back of the neck. So it's just at the start, there's a lot of kicking and throwing the head around. And then once it gets down, it's almost like a wrestle.
Yeah, okay, right. Any standing on necks? I'd assume that's how they would kill them.
Yeah, and they've got this big pedestal, big hard kind of plate underneath.
Yeah,
so
it's like a sternum, right?
Yeah, and they'll literally get up and they'll drop that down like a press. So if they kind of get them down when they're a little bit weak and, you know, they can manage to get up, they'll drop that whole thing down.
Try and break their neck.
Yeah.
Kind of ordeal. Fuck, I didn't know they were that aggressive.
And so what I'll do is I'll send you through a little clip of a bull camel attack. And this one happened on the edge of Lake Mackay. So Lake Mackay is one of the largest salt lakes in Australia. It's in between the Tanami and the Gibson, and it's right on the West Australian border. So instead of going straight across the border, I decided to track it up a little bit further just so I could go up and watch the sunset over the water in the Salt Lake.
Northwest of Alice Springs, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think I've heard of that. I've done a lot of bush driving out there.
Yeah, it's a really nice spot, really remote. This was probably one of the more remote places I was on the trek.
Yep.
And it's me and the filmmaker. So we heard this bull camel gargle, and mate goes, "Oh, it's bull camels coming in. I'm out chopping wood. I have to run back to camp, grab the gun out of the case."
Like? Really?
And then when they blow on like that, there's this big dulla. It's called. It's like a big pink balloon that kind of comes out the side.
Saliva.
No, of its actual throat. Like it's an additional part of the throat. Blows this out like a big bubble, and then comes out like inflated, and then it kind of deflates, and they suck it back in, all while foaming at the mouth. So all this foam's starting to come out because they're on heat, and apparently to camel chicks, that's the hottest thing ever. It's the hottest thing out. But they'll do that just before they're coming in as well.
Yeah.
So you hear that blowing out, all right, that big bellow, and then so you hear that well before like the charge. You can see the charge coming in. So the charge starts coming in. I run to the side of this dune, and he's coming in. He's probably a couple hundred meters away from where I am. The camels are my camels are about a couple hundred meters away, just behind a little electric fence I'd put up for him. I get the first shot in, and you hear it kind of thump in, but he kind of keeps coming. It's almost like a bee sting for him, and trying to get him in the front leg to slow him down and maybe get a heart shot. Second shot stops him, turns him around, and then once he's kind of paused and not moving anymore, then you can take a heart shot. So that
what do you got? Like a 323?
308.
308. Yeah. Wing mag.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Seiko 85 Hunter.
Okay. Yeah, that'll do some damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. How proficient of a shot are you?
Well, I'll send you the video.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
How many? You said you had to take down 40.
About 40 along the way.
Whoa.
So
are they a multiple shot kill?
I would generally go up and just throw a tap in the head.
Yeah.
So if I'm at camp and I've got the gun and it's kind of coming straight towards you, and my camels are in camp with us, that's quite easy because it's a camel coming straight towards you, front on shot. You can get the heart. The head might be going around everywhere, but you can get a good heart shot on.
How far back is the
heart?
But
when you're a couple of hundred meters away and they're running to the side, I'm generally trying to get the anywhere on the front shoulder,
damage them enough to fall,
just to slow them down and to get them to stop and then take the shot.
Yeah.
So that one there was three shots.
Whoa, dude.
But
that's
it's
scary, man.
Over a ton camel that one would have been.
Did any bulls? Did that bull kind of like turn towards you once you shot first?
No, he don't care about me.
Yeah,
like it's just they got eyes for my camels. That's it.
Right. Fuck, man.
Even if I was standing in between my camels and them, just off to the side, he'd probably run straight past me to the camels.
Whoa. Even like that makes sense. Damn, dude. You wouldn't assume that a camel would be like that, right? Like pack animals, yes, but you don't think of camels as pack animals.
No. They're intensely a herd animal.
Yeah.
They've got a culling program for camels, and
that's in South Australia, correct?
Oh, South Australia, Western Australia.
They have one here?
Yeah. So they kind of comes on and off, right? The camel population in Australia, they reckon it's doubling in size about every 7 years. and we've got 1 million now.
Whoa,
Right?
that's fucking shit tons.
So some people say we've got about 500,000, some people got 1 mil, but there's no doubt that with a few good seasons, you know, the population in about 7 odd years, the routes will nearly double. So they run these culling programs, and one of the things they use is called a Judas collar. So a female will always be accepted into a herd. So they go out, they catch a female, put a collar on her, she'll get accepted into a herd, they'll fly out in a chopper, shoot every single camel except that one, and then she'll go out, find another herd, and it'll just keep on repeating. But what they found after about 4 or 5 times...
That's what we should do with whores.
I'll leave that one there.
OnlyFans girls. They normally rot together.
And we'll get, after about 4 or 5 iterations, this female camel will stop finding another herd because she'll realise it's her.
Yeah, okay.
So as much as she wants to be with another, with a herd, she'll recognise that everyone around her is dying, and she'll just spend the rest of her years with that collar on all alone.
Whoa.
Which is pretty. Like, they're pretty smart animals. They clue on pretty quick. Like if you're trying to fool a camel, like that you're trying to train, you get 1 or 2 cracks at trying to get your trick across. Otherwise, they're across whatever trick you're trying to pull, and they'll start to preempt it.
That is smart as shit.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's anything though, right? Like if you do that's like the cat test. They put a cat in a box and I had to press a button.
Yeah.
After 10 times, it figured out. I think it was press the button, escape, get the treat.
Yeah.
And then on the 11th time, it did it in like 2 seconds, and then it consistently did it for 2 seconds after that.
Yeah.
It's just like if you were to maybe change, like take that collar off that camel, put it on another camel, and like keep that going like that.
Yeah.
If it was only 1 collar, would
Yeah.
that be more efficient?
I have no idea.
Yeah, you're not the one doing it.
This is why I kept running and getting stumped up at that zoo, you know, because ultimately I knew a few little things, and everything else I was just winging.
Yeah.
Like, I come in, like, the first experience that I ever had trying to find out about camels was Googling how do I buy a camel in my office in Netherlands. So, like, in regards for
You're
like
flagged on a system somewhere. For that.
in regards for who should have completed this thing, it was definitely not me.
Yeah.
Like, I was out there a lot of times going like, you are not the guy that should be doing this. Like, physically, like, I do some stupid physical kind of stuff, but this was physical beyond me.
Yeah, but
It's a
Steve
it
Irwin
becomes
wasn't
a mental
Steve.
kind of thing.
Steve Irwin wasn't Steve Irwin before he was Steve Irwin. You know, he had the name, but you know, he had to be that person to become that person.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a load of shit.
Yeah.
Because I think as soon as you think of yourself as something and then you believe it,
I 100%. You're probably looking at someone who you go, God damn, they're good at that, or they're really on this stuff, but they're still sitting in that self-improvement, doubt, imposter syndrome. Probably like that's the one on either shoulder. Like, you've got this, no drama. I mean, you get in there, who cares what you don't know? But like, I think I don't run into these things with like uber confidence. I run in there with just small, little incremental pieces of consistency over time. I mean, if you're gonna.
That's the healthy way to do it, though, right?
Yeah. And before you know it, I look around and it's like, holy shit, despite all that doubt, fear, you know, I kept on getting up. I kept on loading the camels. I kept on walking, you know, and I'd have days out there where like for a couple of days in a row where I couldn't not get out of my swag, where I couldn't move. Like, I couldn't justify, you know, to say like I wasn't connected with my why. That was when you'd kind of struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? And I can't answer it myself. And on those times, it'd be the small incremental things that I'd do. I was like, well, I don't know if I can walk today, but I can tidy that one saddlebag. And that's enough reason to get out of the swag.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do that next saddlebag. And then I've tied it up enough. I may as well actually put these things on the camels and start walking. And before you know it, the day's gone.
Yeah.
So that's been, I suppose, with the way I've kind of now come back in and started to tackle business, you know, these small incremental improvements and challenges and problems to solve over time.
Yeah.
Because you turn around and before you know it, 3.5 years are gone, and so it's 12,500 kilometers, and you're like, holy fuck, I actually achieved something.
So how many kilometers were you walking per day on average?
Depends on where I was. So in Tasmania, for example, it was 1,200 kilometres that I walked in there, and it took me 6 months because of all the wineries, the pubs.
I was going to say the terrain, but no, the fucking food.
And you hit some of the desert areas where you're like, I've got a fair bit of distance to get to the next good camp, next water source, etc. You're going through like 400k patches with no water. You step up a little bit, and because that's towards the end, I think I was in this mentality of like, you know, you get a nice car, you get something, you're like, let's see what this fucking thing could do, you know. So I like kind of put my foot down to see how fast I could go and how long I could do it for.
Yeah.
So that 1,200 Ks disappeared in a couple of months. So I was waking up, putting there was about a ton of saddles and gear and bags and shit to go on. So that'd go on the camels. I'd walk anywhere from 40 to 55 Ks for the day, and I did that 6 days a week for 2 months straight. So it was 6 marathons a week for 2 months whilst moving 2 ton a day.
What the fuck?
And then we'd set up half a kilometre of fencing. I'd set up half a kilometre of fencing every day and take down half a kilometre of fencing every day as well. Bro. And in between that, you're cooking your meals, hunting.
Food-wise, what did you have on you?
So I had a 35-litre Waco fridge on the side of one of these camels. So if I shot one of those bull camels coming in, I'd load up the fridge with back straps. So I always had good fresh meat.
Right. What's camel like?
It's good. It's good.
Yeah?
It's like any of that gamey meat that's out there.
Yeah.
People say it's gamey, don't like it. If you cut off a steak, throw it on a hot plate and think it's going to be something, it's not going to be anything. But you spice rub it, you rest it for a few days.
Dry brine it.
Yeah, you do a couple of things to it. You treat the meat with a bit of love, and then you don't rush cooking it. You're gonna get a good result out of it.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna get. I cut some wombat up, and
Wombat.
Yeah.
That shit's tough, apparently.
And it was not great, but that was the whole slice a few steaks, let's taste wombat. I didn't really do anything with it, and I hear other people going, "Yeah, wombat's great." It was roadkill, so
yeah, that'll do it. It was already jerky.
So I always had this rule, like if I'll eat the roadkill if it's still got its eyes, because if the birds haven't picked it out. Yeah. But sometimes, like when you're in the colder places, it might still have its eyes and look all right, but
it's gouged.
Yeah, it might be a little bit questionable.
Could have any what do they call that shit? Chronic wasting syndrome. Right?
Yeah.
CWS.
Well, touch wood, I was pretty good. I think I had a pretty good eye and gut by the end of it.
Yeah.
And I got to experience like
no sickness or anything?
No, I didn't get sick.
Yeah.
So I think again it was that kind of acclimatization to the experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
John's
hot.
at it again.
It's hot now in Perth, right?
Yeah.
And I go into my aircon, I go into the aircon car, and I come out, it's fucking hot, right? And I experience days like this all the time out in the desert, and I'd still walk, you know, a whole day, and I would feel that it's warm, but not like I do now. Like I've acclimatized back into air-conditioned comfort very quickly.
Very easy.
Very quickly. Yeah. And then I walk outside, I'm like, oh, this is fucking terrible.
Well, you don't have the polarity of air conditioning when you're walking across the desert, right?
No.
You don't have like the...
You don't even have the option to think about it, so therefore it gets dispelled out of your mind.
Yeah.
Same as sex. There wasn't too much of that out there. And
what?
I went from...
You're a filmmaker and what?
Turn the camera off. That's a lie. He didn't.
No. In the documentary.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll talk about that later.
Documentary.
So I leave Uluru, and I go through this period where you're not seeing anyone, not even any internet access. You're not no access to sex clearly, but also no access to like any prompters on social medias to even start. Oh, she's good looking, and go down the rabbit hole or anything like that. So 2 or 3 months into this, I haven't even touched myself.
Completely celibate.
I haven't seen like a shower for God knows how long. So I'm looking at myself going like, not even I'm interested. And there's one night I had a sex dream about 3 months in, right? and the sex dream is just about me playing with myself. And this is how far down the bar is. Like, we are down here. Like, and not only that, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, that was pretty good.
Like, John, you dirty
you're
bastard.
clean. Loved it.
I was dreaming I had a bath of myself. I was all soapy. That's an out-of-body experience dream.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. But, like, you would only have that if you were starving yourself of something else.
Yeah.
Like, if you're starving yourself of sex, I imagine all you want is fucking sex. If you starve yourself of, like, good food, all you want is good food.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, now that I've kind of come back, it's like my relationship with sex and alcohol, partying, this, that. It's a completely different relationship. Like, I had a really good time out there. Like, there was challenges. It was hard and, all the stuff. But amazing moments, like amazing clarity. And you're going at 4.5 Ks an hour. You're not in a rush anywhere. And I come back, and when you've spent time hanging off the side of a cliff, like, and one of the, now city kind of problems come at you, you're like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I went for so long without sex or party or alcohol. So temptation can be all around you and you're like, that's fine. You can engage with it, not whatever. I feel like I'm in the driver's seat so much more now in so many different aspects of my life that I don't think I could ever have possibly achieved just by will and determination and self-control previously. Like, no matter what work I tried to do, could have attempted to do over the last 5 years, nothing could have driven the result I think that I've got now for me. I'm sure other people can, but I didn't even recognize the person that came back from the camel trek after 5 years, and I didn't know what to do with that for the first 6 months after returning. I had to meet myself again for the first time, because it wasn't until I got back with the same people, same situations, the same temptations, the same things around in front of me, to realize the different drivers that were at play internally now. And that was a different John to what that left. And I'd never met that guy until I got back, because it's like I was looking in in front of a mirror for the first time after the trek. Like the difference in a weight loss journey, not being in a mirror. Like, you drop 40 kilos, but you've never been around a mirror. It's not until you're looking like, who the fuck is that? So this is like a 6-month adjustment period just to figure out who I was and how to play. And that wasn't, I'm not saying like this is like it was a, oh no, terrible experience. That was enjoyable. That was kind of like, but I didn't rush that kind of thing. Didn't even take my job back officially for 6 months after coming back. Like, I truly asked myself, do I want to be back running that company? Like, truly, do I want to? Because you just took a wage for 5 years and didn't set foot in that office and didn't open an email. So do you want to return? Like, you have a choice not to. Does this new guy that came back want to go back there? As opposed to just sliding back into, the old John. And the answer was, fuck yes, I want to be back. And when Abe was on the way in here today, and my first ever employee still works with us today, Mike, he called me up and he's like, mate, I just want to take the time to say, I've never seen you this focused, this engaged and loving what you're doing. Like, he's like, he started with us 7 months after I started the company and was there for the first 10 years that we were growing this thing. And I thought I was pretty engaged. He's like, I've never, ever seen you like this before. Whoa. So he's seen me in every single mode.
That's sick.
So yeah, once I kind of connected with who had returned and really figured out the drivers of that guy, I've never been dialed in more than that before. So yeah, I recommend go get some camels. Go for it. Like, look, it's not a Tony Robbins kind of moment. Like, I don't know how to translate. This is the struggle though. I don't know how to translate that or pull the lessons from that trek yet and then apply them in. That's what's led me to now start writing the book and doing the documentary with Cam Watt on it. Because I don't have the skill set to be able to translate that and make it relevant into, and if you do this and take these lessons from the trek, then you can go there. But there's a story in there, right? So a story that will allow people to kind of take from that experience, whatever it is that they want. And just don't focus on trying to teach someone how to suck eggs because of what I went through. Just share the story in the most honest and open way I possibly can, and let the stories kind of rise to the surface with that, and let whatever takeaway or meaning or whatever someone needs to hear from that. And I had a few experiences with that on the trek. As I was coming into Canberra and crossing this bridge, there was a little guy in a dinghy going under the bridge, and I just yelled out to him, "Hey, you're the first person to see me from a boat on this track." That was it. One comment, one interaction with the guy. Mm-hmm. About 6 months later, I get a message on socials, and this message said, "I'm not sure if you remember, but you yelled out to me in Canberra that I was the first guy to see you from a boat. I connected with your story, saw that you were living in a corporate kind of life, you've taken this walk and gone off and done this, and just wanted to tell you a little bit about my story." So around about 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with quite a serious health concern. I've got a family, couple of young kids, and I nearly kind of lost that battle, but I come through at the end, and I thought, I don't want to leave my family behind with nothing. So I've launched right into my work, and I said to myself I wasn't going to leave them short of anything. I was going to save up as much as I possibly could, make sure the house was paid up, all this kind of stuff. As a result, I hadn't been spending much time with my family, been putting in the hours and doing all this stuff. And you just walked away from all this stuff, and I started to think maybe the financial kind of focus that I've got at the moment is not what they're going to miss when I go. If I go, maybe I should be focusing on the time I'm spending with them. And it just gave them it was just a little trigger reading the story. I didn't say anything about that. I just left my job and left chasing big, fancy, shiny things and went off to experience something. He went on his own journey of interpretation from that. And he said, "I'll just let you know, I've quit my job. We've sold the house and we're on the road."
Whoa.
Right. And that was from one moment.
Comment.
All right. And I was like, all right, well, people are going to take from that experience whatever it is they want. Don't rob them from that. Just be as open and honest as you can as you write in the book. I'm about halfway through that process now. Share that with the world and let people go on whatever journey, just let the ripple go in whatever direction it goes to from there. Mm-hmm. So
I want to push back.
Yeah.
Because I think if you're trying to get your story into the hands of people and make sure there's specific lessons to be learned from a story that you've gone through yourself, that whole influencer buy my fucking course shit, I don't think that's that. I don't think that's you.
No, it's not.
I think what you are and what your story is a complexity that has been overcome through freedom.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're a storyteller. And just like this guy, he took from your story what he needed to break free and find his own freedom.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that you do to people.
Yeah.
Like, just from hearing your whole story and everything, you've gone through struggles financially that most people will never see with the entrepreneurialism and you're building your company and stuff. And then you've gone, well, that's not important.
Yeah.
So people don't even really need to. I assume, like, most people that are going through that, they think it's the most important thing to them at that time.
Yeah.
It's the finances and stuff.
Yeah.
But when you get to a point where it's you've had enough,
Yeah.
like, I've got enough, I'm good.
Yeah.
What do you do then?
Yeah.
You did that. You
Yeah.
went past that. You were like, okay, I need to go find adventure. I need to find feeling.
Yeah.
Important.
And I think when you go on the entrepreneurial journey, you start to question you kind of engage with it because you question the whole, I'm going to go to high school and then I'm going to go from there into university. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to meet a girl. I'm going to get a mortgage, which will last me till the end of my career. And then at the very end of that, maybe if I'm lucky, 60, but somewhere in my 60s, I was saved up enough to have a retirement and then I'll stop working. And I'm like, so that's when I get that to choose a little bit more. Like everything else before has to be focused on that path and that journey, and I just wasn't really sold by that. So, and I don't think that was a financial thing. It just seemed like a really long fucking journey.
Yeah.
And
what do they call it? The plan of mundane happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, the life plan of mundane happiness. That's the one. Yeah.
And when you start to question that and you start to go off on little tangents, there's just now there's a bit more, but 15, 20 years ago, you're breaking stride a little bit, and there's not as many playbooks for you. Now there's great podcasts and all this kind of stuff, but you're off the beaten track a little bit, and now you're into holy crap. Now the message is a little bit there's multiple horizons of potential in front of us, but also failure in front of us. There's a whole lot, so there's a pretty misguided kind of path that you go along, but you're still like it's better than this here. So I think a lot of people have reached that point where they see, oh my God, I've committed to the long career, the mortgage, the family kind of thing, and they just see the next 30 years. And they're the people who kind of sometimes will fantasize about what would happen if I just picked up and just walked away. But they've already made a series of choices that make that very difficult. Yeah. I was very lucky that, very, very lucky that the business allowed me to do it, but I also had a bit of a window. I wasn't in a relationship. Didn't have that family, didn't have a mortgage, like all my chips were in the business. So no property. Yeah. Right. Didn't have any of that. I had a window where all the debt went down, and I was like, I can buy another business. I could go in harder. Everything about growth and more than last year, or I could use this window for something else. And at 35 to 40, that seemed like a better window to take. Even if I end up working more on the back end, like why wouldn't I take this 5-year or this, whatever window I could possibly get right now and do the most physically fucked up, demanding challenge I could possibly think of to take on. So I think that was in the back of like what they, taking that window and doing the adventure based, and it didn't really matter what adventure, it was just whatever brutal kind of gnarly biggest thing I could think of. The camels were just like a add-in to carry the stuff in my first thought.
So did you, here's a question. Did you think of any other animals that you were going to do it with?
Do it with?
No, do the walk with.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you need a step ladder for a camel.
No, I taught him to sit.
Drop that sternum, boy.
No. There was no thought about doing it, any kind of animal aspect in the trip at all. It was just having a bunch of red wine up at Fraser's in Kings Park with a girlfriend of mine, and she told me a crazy camel adventure story she had when she was 19 in Kenya. And I just went, oh, fuck, we've got a few camels here. Maybe I could take camels. And the next day I Googled, how do I buy a camel? Whoa. And 2 months later, I was learning how to tame and train wild camels. So I positioned myself. So remember I said I spent 12, 18 months or so preparing for it. I'm right on the back end. So I'm last 2 odd months of the preparing for the departure. So the departure date's coming, and I've got no idea what I'm going to do. So I hadn't really turned my hand to thinking too much about what the adventure was going to be. So I was just kind of in that mode where I was like, I've got to think of something soon. So whatever kind of came across my desk in that, into my view over that 1 month was probably going to be what it was going to be. Whoa. So I was probably in a very suggestive state. Like if anyone had walked past, started talking about goats.
Strap one on the back. Let's go. So how long before you had those 4 that you left with?
So that idea
5?
comes up in November. January, I'm learning how to tame and train camels, and July, I get my first camels. Okay. And then April, the following year, I start walking. So January to April was the following year was the preparation time, about 13, 14 months.
You didn't lose any camels on the trip?
No. So I started with 4 and ended with 6. So ended up with more camels along the way. Just kind of like, oh yeah, he looks cool, and
just chuck him on.
Yeah, chuck him on.
Are you allowed to tame wild camels? because they don't
I have
own,
no
they're not
idea
owned
about
by-
the legalities or whether you're meant to register them or anything like this.
Yeah.
This whole trip was about like forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah.
We're walking through the guts of Canberra and like pulled straight up on Parliament House lawn. I've got a 308 and 1,500 rounds and a massive knife, and the politicians are just coming up. Hey! So the AFP's got all their guns out.
Yeah.
I didn't pull mine out to compare,
yeah.
but they just, he seems legit. And I walked straight through.
You just need a bunch of camels to seem legit.
Yeah, like
If you had just
people don't
had
know
the
what
gun-
to do with you, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like they open up their playbook and go, oh yeah, they're
the camel man. Yeah, right.
COVID hits, everyone else is locked down,
Yeah.
and like it's not like I'm hanging out with people, so I just keep going.
Yeah.
And
Did you have to wear a mask at all while you had camels?
someone comes around but like I'm pretty by myself. a
Like
lot of
in the
time. But if I
cities-
went into the shops, like
No, I mean like if you're walking around this, like height of COVID, right? If you entered a city, you didn't do that, right? You kind of stayed out on the fringes.
oh look, it was one of those things when someone, because I'm spending a lot of time by myself, even when I'm going through towns, I'm trying to take remote kind of tracks
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But if I'm in the town for a few days getting supplies, don't make waves, just wear it. And,
Yeah.
Didn't have to get the vax or
You
anything
have to
like that.
put a mask on the camel.
I did have a camel on my mask, but when I'm going through Victoria, like a cop pulls me up and it's like hard lockdown, and he's like pulls me up. He's like, "What are you doing, mate? We're on lockdown." So I couldn't find any pet-friendly motels, And he looks up and down the camel train. He's like, "I can't be fucked with the paperwork." And he just keeps going. A tip off to Sergeant Kenny. Thank you for that. But all the world's kind of fallen apart and about over the vaccine, all this kind of shit. I'm in Central Australia. One rural flying doctor guy says, "Do you want it?" And I'm like, "No, I'm right." And he's like, "All right, see ya." And then I disappear into the desert for a couple of years, and I come out the other end, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's not a thing anymore." So the vaccine's not a thing. So I never even had to go through the mental space of like, do you agree, not agree, should this or that? And I come back and I see everyone's got this hangover from, like families having all these different opinions and companies and stuff like this. And
Everyone had to have an ideology. Like it
Yeah.
was an enforced ideology. You're either for it or you're against it.
yeah.
Did you ever have the thought while you were in Central Australia that like you would come back and it'd be like Armageddon or an apocalypse?
No. But I had the fantasy of like finding out that it happened whilst I was out there and being like, and I'd set this up and I'd build a hut, and, like
I am legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I like waited out for 3 years out there. I was like, I'd be fine for 3 years with all this stuff. And then
I'm raiding the Perth Mint.
and I don't even need to hunt. The camels come to me. It's just like the Uber Eats of the desert. I could do this all day, like years I could be out there.
Yeah.
So it would have been literally fine out there. And then you have that thought of then you come back and everyone's abandoned or, it's like Perth is just a ghost town as you walk down that. Like you definitely like tick that over in your head.
Yeah, I'd have that thought too. I definitely would. Now,
or the vaccine did kill everyone. And
Killed
it's like,
everyone
I'm
off,
coming
right.
back with my unvaccinated sperm, ready to populate the planet.
I got really, really fucking high once just before, just after actually they brought out the vaccine because they were like, COVID this, COVID that. Oh, they've developed a vaccine. And I was just thinking in the mode of like they were trying to stop production of humans, reproduction of humans. And I was thinking, I got so high. I had an edible and then smoked. And I was like, the vaccine is like a glue for vaginas. It's just going to close up all the vaginas. I was just a paranoia, bro. I was like, what the fuck is this? It was wild. It was wild. I didn't know what the fuck it was going to be. And I still don't. And I wholeheartedly think that mRNA technologies are kind of overlooked. Like they're not, I wouldn't say they're beneficial yet, but they have the potential to be. But who knows?
But it's going to be a hard sell for any other mRNA.
I think so.
Kind of any kind of spin-off, no matter good, bad, indifferent.
Yeah.
It's just people are going to I think push back a little harder.
I've seen it in other products now.
Yeah.
Yeah. in like nasal sprays and shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you read the ingredients of nasal sprays, and it's got like mRNA factor 2, and you're like, what the fuck is in this?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I think they had an overproduction. They were expecting, like everyone to get like 12 boosters, and like they can just keep making money off this shit. Yeah. But I think that they probably made too much and then sold it to other companies, and they're using it in things, and yada 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 yada, just destroying us from the inside out.
I mean, there's so much shit in everything we eat in here. Like I notice that there's a much noticeable difference in like energy levels and other things. Like I'm eating just bush meat and natural kind of stuff out there for a long period on end, and no grog and lots of water every day. Just the simple things, right?
And zero sugar, right?
Yeah.
You're not having the cloudiness of like a sugar hangover or like a food coma. Good luck trying to get completely satiated on wild game.
Yeah.
Like you eat till you're full.
Yeah.
Or it's not even till you're full, till your satiety is like up to functional levels.
It felt like hitting the reset out there, because not only that, I'm dropping a lot of weight because I can't eat enough to, get through everything. I'm 23 kilos heavier than I was when I finished the trek.
Whoa.
So I dropped a lot of weight, and it felt like a little bit of a refresh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been great putting it back on, but when I finished the trek, I didn't have an ass. I just had a spot where my leg stops. Like it was nothing there and concave in at the front.
Well, you weren't sitting down at all, were you?
No.
Was there any time?
I literally walked my ass off.
Yeah. It's just balls hanging in. It's like a wasp nest.
That was the only part of me that put on weight.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, dude, I know some, like, I shouldn't say this. I know some girls that think cardio is the way to build an ass. It's not. It's not.
No.
You need to lift weights and eat beef.
Yeah, like, I mean, out there, obviously, it wasn't diet or anything like that. I was just burning. The burn rate was so high.
Yeah.
Coming back, I briefly started getting back into the gym, but I've drunk the work Kool-Aid now. Like, I do become quite singularly focused. So I get up in the morning. Like this morning, up at probably like 4:30 or thereabouts. Woke up. Felt like I needed a pee, and I'm like, well, I'm up now. I was ready for work in the office, and probably doing, I was saying to you earlier, I was doing 14-hour days, maybe 15-hour days. Plenty of energy in the tank, absolutely love it, but it's getting every single part of me, every single ounce of energy. When I'm having a thought, it's generally going to be related to something to do with it, and I'll sit in that mode for a couple of years. And then I'll shake my head and look around. Wow, that's same as the camel trek. 3 years or so, you shake your head around and you're like, holy crap, it's 12,500 kilometers away from where I started this thing.
Yeah.
I almost consider myself like a shift worker, like 5 years off, 5 years on, 5 years off, 5 years on.
Yeah.
And
do you have moments where you're like, fuck, I wish I was out there right now? No?
Like it went on for so long that I turned every stone that I wanted to out there. Like I can safely say I'll never do another camel trek again. Not to that extent. I might go out on someone else's trek for a little bit of fun for a few weeks here and there. But there is nothing left for me to experience in that again. Will I do another adventure again? That's a completely different story. But I know that when I'm ready to have that. I'm not doing what I'm doing now, killing time until my next adventure. I'll do what I do now, and it'll get all my thought. I don't have to think about what's next. I know that it took me 2 months to think about the camel trek and come up with it, and then get that kicked off.
Yeah.
All right. So if I turn my hand to it, and I really want to do it, then that's what we'll do. But for now, this is the focus. I'm not doing this because of what's next. I'm doing this because it's what I want to do now.
So you didn't, like, before you went on the camel journey, did you have an idea that you were going to do another country after you did Australia, and then that just died in the arse at the end?
There was a little thought, like I thought I'll walk from one side of Australia to the other, and then maybe like then I'll get a boat and I'll keep going and maybe
Africa,
go round or something like that. But the thought, I found out no one had ever walked a team of camels or any animals through every single state and territory in one trip before.
Whoa.
So I was like, oh, well, that seems like a cool first to do. And so they come up with that idea about 3,000, just after falling off a cliff, about 3,000 Ks in. I thought, yeah, I think we can do every single state and territory. Let's have a go for the whole lot.
You get a Guinness World Record for that?
No. I don't know. Maybe if it's on a GPS tracker, maybe I could put that in there, but I wouldn't really see what the point would be for me. Like,
well, yeah. Well, if it's a first,
someone else, it kind of goes, oh well, I'm going to try and claim it as the first.
It would be like who would be the fastest to do it?
Oh no! I was going for slowest.
Yeah. I know.
and I left little bits out there for people to kind of take, right? So, I mentioned I went to Cockle Creek down in Tasmania, right, to make it the most southern camel trek, blah, 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 blah. But I got approval to go to a certain point, and I stopped 100 metres short. And I was like, someone else, leave a little bit of, because you're not allowed to go any further than that point. So I was like, yeah, leave a bit of sport in it. Someone else wants to grab a team of camels and take the most southern camel trek,
Yeah.
There's a little bit left in it, You can take that, that take.
Did you put like a flag in the ground and be like, I stopped here, bitch?
But because everything's on the GPS tracker, so it'll stop there, so it's in there. But I broke into I probably shouldn't say, I broke into a national park in Wilson's Prom. I ended up with like $5,000-$6,000 worth of fines for going in there. But that got me the most southern camel trek on the mainland.
Well, if it fucking works.
Yeah, it worked.
If it ain't broke.
The park rangers come out to interview me and they're like, so whereabouts did you camp? I'm like, there. And they're like, oh, that's near a significant bloody thing or something.
A historical.
Yeah. Yeah, they were just trying to stack up the fines.
Yeah.
And so they're like, how'd you eat there? I was like, I lit a fire in a national park.
Fuck off.
So I literally...
I had 2-minute noodles.
I started racking them up after a little while. I was like, oh, what about this? Yeah, don't forget the camel shit.
Yeah.
So they racked up as much as they possibly could.
Okay,
about $5,000-$6,000.
Did you do that for them? Because it would go back to conservation, right?
No, so I did that because then if someone else goes, I want to beat that particular record, I'm like, you can, but it's about $6,000.
Yeah, good luck, bitch. How much was your camel? You might have to sell one of them.
They were the only national park that was being on the way towards it. Yeah, that were being absolute dicks. Every other national park, every other park ranger, every other person in a position of authority throughout the whole entire trek was amazing, incredible. Rolled out the red carpet. Rangers would come out and camp with me, drink around the fire. The local country police would come out to my camp with a carton. But these guys are just, were worried if someone walked down a beach with a few camels camped out. And
maybe it's because you spooked them a little bit. Maybe they were in like a cabin fucking or something.
I mean, what do you think? Like, you let one camel guy through, then the next fucking camel. Next minute, we're overrun with fucking
There's camel trails everywhere.
Yeah. But, we would just rock up to places and never ask for permission. Nah. That was the one place we got caught out. We got a big Tasman bridge going into Hobart. This is like a 6-lane freeway. And I was like, well, I won't go like weekday, because it's a freeway.
Yeah, go the weekend.
So Sunday. 6 o'clock Sunday morning.
Yeah, perfect. Right? Yeah.
We hit the bridge and like cars and everyone, what the fuck's going on? But you Google Tasman Bridge, this thing's like 3 kilometres long, 100 metres off the water, 6 lanes wide, freeway.
What the fuck?
And so I just hit it with the camels and my dog.
Yeah.
And within like 1/3 of the way across, we're surrounded by cop cars.
Yeah, escorting you.
Yeah, and that one comes up, winds out the window and goes, "Can you put the dog on a lead?" And I get to the other side and they all take selfies and then go, "Welcome to Hobart," and leave.
Whoa.
So they leave me and the camels in the city centre. And I assume that just means
you're welcome.
Okay, you can walk wherever you like. So I'm weaving through the streets, stopping at all the pubs. The TV crews are coming out interviewing you. I tie them up at the front of places, going for a bite to eat. I pull it into a Dan Murphy's and throw a few cartons up on the top.
Yeah.
Stop at Woolies, tie them up out the front, do my shopping. I'm like, and it was just completely okay. Like, they're just like, yeah, fine.
Nobody tried to loot you at all or anything like that? The whole trip?
No. In the cities, in the country towns, in the Aboriginal communities, all of my gear is just out on the ground. Nothing is locked. Everything is open, and I could leave it for 2 days and never have one thing taken.
Whoa.
The whole trip. I think when people see you're on foot, you rock up some places in the, fancy full driving a caravan. Right?
What's that motherfucker
Yeah.
got? He's got some sellable items.
You walk there on foot.
Yeah.
They're pretty sure that you're probably going to need the
Everything
stuff a
you
little
got.
bit more.
Yeah.
It's there. And it was not a bad setup. And I had some good stuff. And I had drones and this and that and fridges and guns. And the gun I'd leave kind of locked up with someone or like dismantled different kind of parts in different parts of the bag.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just if it goes, it goes. So I was worried about it for the first 12 months of the trip, and nothing went. And then I was like, well, I've gone through this far, and I'm getting so much free accommodation, and people are buying me beers, and people open up their houses, and I'm like, I've just got thousands and thousands of dollars worth of hospitality just laid at my feet. And I almost felt after that, well, if I lose a few things after this, I replace it. I'm so far ahead. Like my faith in humanity, maybe that's one of the things that's driving me now. My attitude just seems to be peaking through the roof because my faith in humanity cannot be knocked now. I was probably questioning it a little bit before I left. Everything's a bit more transactional, looking at the transactional nature of relationships. What's in it for me? What's in it for you? What do you want from me? And now, my cup is so full. I'm just throwing out whatever I can in every single direction. Yeah.
You take a straw here.
Yeah.
Or roll up. No. Yeah, no, I get that, bro. I just came back from England. I went through France, Amsterdam. We went Germany, Istanbul, all through the northern parts of England, and it was just wild. But there's a lot of that probably ruined my faith in humanity.
Yeah.
With how much crime and I was walking through London and some dude was just like, fuck you. And I was like, okay. Yeah. I'm in London. I'm at least thank you for not stabbing me. I can appreciate that.
I reckon in the 4 years I encountered less than 20 dickheads, including every single car that passed me, and that's in the thousands. Whoa. So numbers wise, we should be pretty proud of the country we live in.
Yeah.
All right. And this is not people will go, oh yeah, people are really nice out in the country. I'm talking about going through the middle of Canberra and tradies are pulling up and giving me a Mars bar and Coke, and someone else stop and give me a sausage roll or whatever. It's like, hey fella, it didn't matter where I was. The same hospitality, that same Aussie kind of spirit that we used to celebrate a little bit more kind of came out.
Yeah, everything's a little too factionized these days, bro.
Well, that's what I think. I think with Australia Day, all right, we should switch around, change the date to every fucking other day. Every other day.
Every day,
We got get rid of the Union Jack, throw an Aboriginal flag in the corner, wave it around, and every fucking day is Australia Day. And 26, we all just put the flags away and still get drunk.
Oh yeah,
that doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Just put the flag down.
Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. I think it's an unjuxtaposition. Is that what they call it? Where you're like, why are you celebrating this shit when we live in the greatest country in the fucking world? Why aren't we celebrating this shit every day?
Yeah.
You know how America says we're number one.
Yeah.
You can't have poverty and school shootings every day.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
Yeah.
We have stopping off with a fucking camel trail and giving a Mars bar and a Coke to the fucking guy leading it.
We're doing it right.
We're doing all right. I think Perth is doing the best. In all honesty, that's why everyone's moving here.
Yeah.
In the last 2 years, we've got an extra 500,000 people.
Yeah, right.
We've got 2.141 million people now.
Yeah, right.
In Perth.
Yeah.
We breached 2 million people, which is half the size of Sydney.
Yeah.
Well, Canberra, actually. I think Sydney's at 6.8 million. But you just think about that growth of where that's going. And you look at down Tonkin Highway now, we got fucking train lines going to Bullsbrook.
I found out the other day. And my camels are up near Bullsbrook, right? They're out in Chittering.
Right.
Drive up there. I was like, fucking Woolworths is coming to Bullsbrook?
Yeah, bro.
I used to live in Chittering, and I'm like, not in our wildest dreams when I was catching the 3:11 bus home from school that I think there'll be a fucking train coming out here.
Yeah, you're 45 stops in, and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, no, I'm currently up in Henleybrook, so just on the Swan Valley side of Ellenbrook.
Yeah.
And there's a train station going in close, and you're like, what the fuck is this? I remember it was one single lane, Lord Street, all the way down. You're like, when is this going to get better?
How old are you?
31.
Yeah, and you're
32 next month.
And we're already speaking like old men. I'm 41.
Yeah.
And we're already like, well, back in my day, I thought there would never be a train coming out here.
Oh, no.
Right,
do you remember Tonkin Highway?
Anyone in their 20s is just looking at us going like, you fucking
fuck
old.
you, old man. Yeah. Do you remember Tonkin Highway?
Yeah.
When it used to be like one lane each way.
And now it's like tear it all the way out. Like I take it out to go see the camels out in.
Yeah, man.
That's insane.
Yeah, like
that didn't exist when I left it for the camel track.
It didn't. No. Oh yeah, no, it wouldn't do. Would it?
I didn't come home once for nearly 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
So that was the other thing. I got a 5-year before and after snapshot of Perth.
Yeah, my mate's just he's coming back tonight. He's traveled the world like 2 years. He's been gone.
Yeah.
Literally coming back tonight, and I was like, dude, Morley's got a train station, and he's like, what? You mean bus station? I was like, no, I'm train station. He's like, what the fuck is going on over there? I think it's cool. I like my grandmother. She was born in 1932, and she's still alive. And we drove down Tonkin Highway today. I picked her up because she lives in the city.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it feels like we're in Melbourne. And I was like, yeah, no, shit's happening.
No, I love Perth. Like I started that camel trek on the other side of Australia because all I wanted to do was like trek home.
Yeah.
You know, like and any other destination would not have had the drive to go. Oh yeah, I'm finishing. I love Queensland's all right.
It's a bigger Perth, right?
Yeah, you don't want to trek to finish in Melbourne. like, it's not a one day. I'll be in there. I can dip in the Yarra, refresh myself.
Lovely. The dirty ass Mildura River. Oh shit! Yeah, start at a fucking cafe over there, and then make your way back to the greatest state in Australia. That's the best way to do it. Where did you start? You started.
Started up near Bundaberg.
Right.
Weaved inland. Went through Millionaire, which is near Toowoomba, crossed the border at Gundawindi, Moree, Narrabri, crossed the border into Victoria across the Bathanga Bridge, wound down to Mansfield, and then I popped over Mount Skeen all the way out to the coast to go down in Gippsland to go down the 90-mile beach, down to the southern tip of Australia. Then I trucked the camels to the port.
Yep.
Boated to Tassie, did down the east coast, back up central. Then I, to avoid COVID again, trucked them to Mildura when I got back to the mainland.
Nice.
I said Mildura.
I know.
And then from Mildura up to Cameron's Corner, the tri-state border, and weaved around to Uluru. And then started the big Western Deserts trek, got onto the Canning Stock route down to Walloona and popped out at Geraldton. That sounds like a really fast way to describe 3.5 years of my life.
Yeah. So did you? Is that a saw?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Loves it.
It's like nearly 6 o'clock. Why are they soaring? What the fuck is going on?
They're waiting for the students to leave.
Oh, yeah. No, it could be a student, to be honest. Did you walk from Geraldton to Perth?
No. So, look, the guy that left would have loved nothing more than to walk down St. George's Terrace with those camels and like, fucking look at me, I'm back. But it just didn't seem right to finish in a town, like a big town.
Yeah.
You know, like spent so much of my time over those last few years in these country towns. And my mate was the mayor of Geraldton, Big Shane. And he's like, why don't you finish in Geraldton? You come to my town, mate, town's yours. Like, you know, you can have the local, like the big function centre thing right on the beach. I'll walk you through all the pubs. I'll give you a mayoral fucking greeting. You can stay at my house. Camels can stay in the backyard.
Yeah.
So he came out in his full garb, everything, did the whole greeting, and it meant that anyone who wanted to come up from Perth had to come, up so it didn't end up with just all the hangers on, and some people flew in from different states around Australia as well that I met along the way, and all kind of met us at the finish line. So
did there any news crews or anything like that at the finish line? Yeah.
If you Google Camelman, John Camelman, like there's not many people who've done this shit. So
yeah. You just write camels and you probably come up. Yeah.
Most of the articles and stuff like that are just about the trek. There was this interesting one that came out from the West Australian just before I started, and because I was living, like I said, quite a bit of an out there life before. I had nightclub business, this and that, and the West Australian called up and said, "Can we do an article on your camel trek?" Yeah, no dramas. They're like, "We'll ask some questions." So they asked some questions, all about the camel trek, nothing else. And I call up my mum. So, "Mum, I think I'm going to be in the West Australian on Saturday. This is the first article about the trip. A couple of months before I'm about to start." And she tells all the friends, goes out there, and anyway, I get a message on my phone, "Mate, article's out," and I'm sitting in a tent on the coast in Queensland, just by myself, waiting for this, waiting to get the balls to start this trip. And someone sends me a photo of the West Australian, page 3 or whatever that day. "Perth playboy millionaire ditches orgies to hump his way across the country."
They didn't write that.
And I'm like...
They didn't write that, did they?
That's what they wrote.
What the fuck? Who wrote that? Is that a fucking comedian? What the fuck is that?
I think, just got a bit carried away with the party style section of the article, and then talked a little less about the camels and a bit more about that. But
what the fuck? That is hilarious.
It's one of the more interesting probably articles I'll ever get in
I think so.
any time on this planet.
That's fucked up.
It's like the first 2 years nearly of the trek, with preparations and starting the trek. I think it was the polarity of like that life to this life. Like once I really started to live that life and the trek had started, it's like you're the corporate guy and now you're this guy. So all the articles and curiosity was about the polarity of it. But then the trek started to take on a thing of its own, and I suppose I started to become that camel guy, the Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
And no one was asking questions about where you come from before. Right. It was just where you come from became which previous town or which previous state.
Yeah.
And the person from before just disappeared from the question set. And
the disengagement, right?
Yeah. And then even when I came back to town, no one was asking me questions about my previous life or this or that or anything like that. It was just, how was that experience? Tell me about the trek.
That's a good point.
What did you experience out there? So that previous, I never had to contend with people thinking I was going to be the previous John again, because it would have been stranger if the same guy came out the end, and everyone kind of knew that. Yeah. That would have been the weird part.
Empty balls.
Yeah.
Like, why is he not horny? Yeah.
No. Why is your ass on the front?
Why is your ass bigger? What happened? I think that's quite an interesting thing that you bring up, because I was thinking about it. I was like, how did he afford to do this? It's sure, if you owned the camels prior, who were you before that? And then now with this story that your story, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, it sounds like maybe you were trapped and you got through this. Yeah,
I think I wouldn't have been happy with the 50-year-old that poured out of continuing to live the life I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I was nowhere near 50, so it was like that. We don't, so just brought that journey that would have had to have gone through, or that change that would have had to gone through. I just brought it on my table at 34, 35 instead of it being brought to my table in my 40s.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Joe Rogan talk about the hero of your own movie. Have you seen that shit?
Yeah.
Where he's like, be the hero of your own movie.
Yeah.
You're not I think he says something like, you're not the past you. You are not you in the way that you think about yourself, because everything that you think about yourself happened in the past.
Yeah.
And whenever I have a low moment, I always watch that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, stop being a bitch.
You even get like a little...
Yeah.
When you hear that, you know?
And they say motivation is temporary, right? But I think sometimes motivation is like, even just like the fucking analogy for you is the first step in a 1,000-mile journey.
Yeah.
Or a 12,000 fucking kilometer journey.
Yeah.
You know, like the first step, it could just be a little bit of motivation due to the struggle that you've been going through that you kind of don't want to shed light on. Because I think a lot of people are fucking struggling, dude.
Yeah.
Like just in their day-to-day, because they feel life is so exacerbated by media. Like everybody's doing well online. You know, it's like how many fat bitches have like this is who I am on Instagram. They always have like a fucking like model fucking filter on, a face full of makeup. Nobody is who they actually are, right? But when you've got Joe Blow sitting in a fucking cubicle in the city, and he's like, fuck man, like he jumps online just to try and get out of this fucking whirlwind where he's like stuck in a dead end job and he's not doing anything, and jumps online, everyone's having a good time. You're like, well, fuck, what is life?
Yeah.
What is this shit? What are we actually doing here? Like, if everyone's having a good time, where's my good time? And that struggle's real. And I think that sometimes maybe you do need to just break free.
Oh, and there's a transition. I think part of the transition of my comfort and who I am right now is in the pursuit of things and acquiring all that stuff and business success. A lot of that I was doing for the acceptance of who I am from exterior sources, from other people. You know, look at me, look at all this stuff I have, look at the life I'm living. And then I took on a challenge that I didn't know if I could do, to see if I could accept that challenge and then accept myself through that process. Like, I don't feel like I have anything to prove now because of a camel trek. And that's not to anyone else. It's not because like other people are going, oh yeah, well done on a camel trek. It's like I took on the biggest thing I possibly could and I did it, and I'm good with myself now. You know, that journey that you've got to, that, you know, the hardest thing you could possibly take on, you take that on, and you feel the success of that, which is all internal, not because there's no award, there's no Guinness World Record, there's no money that pops in my bank account, you know, to say you've done well. It was just all an internal kind of acceptance of myself, and that's been able to carry through now into my commercial work, you know, because now I'm just enjoying the journey. This is like sport now. I am absolutely loving every step of the way, and I'm living more modestly than what I used to. So all of my finances just get pushed back into the company.
It's a smart move.
I learned to sleep on the dirt for, 4 years. Like the bar for what I have to have in order to be happy is quite bloody low. So I've got myself a little modest kind of place in on the outskirts of town, just in North Perth, and it's just me and the dog. And
awesome.
Most of the time I'm just going home and patting the dog, feeding him, and it's pretty good. Go out once every fortnight, something like that. Other than that, work, really close friends, much smaller, tight-knit group of friends now.
That's important.
I've got more of me to give to a smaller group of people. I can be a better friend.
Yeah.
It's not 100 people that I'm pouring a little bit of myself into. Yeah. There's like 6, 7 people that get a whole lot more of me.
Like a cordial concentrate. When there's poured amongst 1,000 people, you can't even taste that cordial.
Yeah.
Like there's no taste of John left in it.
Yeah.
If you expand yourself to talk to 1,000 people a day.
Yeah.
And you call them all friends.
Yeah.
There's no taste of John.
I've been pretty selective about who I spend my kind of time with now, which is hard. I'm getting better at saying no to a lot of. I think when you got the 100 odd people around you, or 50 or 30 or too many, like you're at a birthday every weekend, another event or this or that, and it just robs your own opportunity and your own chance to focus on your direction from you. Like it's it's okay to be selfish and focus on your kind of goal, your direction, and a smaller group of people. I mean, 6 is a shitload more than I had in the last 12 months of the camel trek. Like, I go through periods where I didn't see anyone for ages.
Yeah.
And generally when I did, I scare the shit out of them. They see some camel guy in the middle of nowhere that's run around, hasn't showered for 2 months and he's got a 308 and a big knife on him.
You're like Rambo with camels.
They don't always get out of their car. People are like,
need anything?
Weren't you scared out there, like Wolf Creek and stuff like that? And I'm like, I was the people run into.
Yeah. You were the Wolf Creek guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, sit up on the camel. Yeah, dude, I think your story is fucking awesome. Like, I really do, bro.
Cheers, man.
Like, aside from like how grandiose it is, I think that's just a cool story. You know, like you can say you've lived a cool life now. Like, even if it just end tomorrow, touch wood, it does not. I'm just saying.
That's where I feel, man. Like, had I carried on doing what I was doing before, I think I would have always wanted more. And now I'd be like, oh, that's a pretty good run.
Yeah.
I get some bad news from a doctor. I get something happen to me now. It's okay. The Australian stock cracking champion whipped my left eye last May with a bullwhip, and I've lost sight in my left eye. It's just basically I can see cloudy vision through there.
Really?
That's kind of hit me, and I'm just like, oh, well, these things happen. Got another one. If that's all that's happened to me in the last 5 years after everything I've been through, that's all right. I'm pretty good. Like, yeah, I've had it tested a couple of times, that kind of mentality, and with some pretty severe things, and it doesn't really matter. This happened the same month after.
Really? How'd that happen?
Suspected bone cancer up here.
Oh.
They tested and said, no, it's fine. And
really?
yeah.
What, did it just fall out by itself?
It's a tumour up in the growth up in the bone. So they had to rip the tooth out, cut it out, and then send it off for test. All good. Get a new tooth next month. But all this stuff starts to kind of come on, and I'm waiting 2 months for the result to find out whether it's cancer or not. It'll be what it is.
Yeah.
The guy texted me and said, oh, no, it's all clear. I was at the pub with the boys from Hard Yarns.
Okay, right, yeah.
And I thought, oh, guys, it wasn't cancer. And then we got back to our beers. That was about it.
Holy shit.
And they're like, what do you mean it wasn't cancer? I'll be like, oh, they thought it might have been. And he's like, how long have you been waiting for those test results? About 2 months. Like, you've done 2 motivational podcasts.
Yeah, dude, I agree, bro. Like, what are you gonna do? You just have to keep doing like life, right?
I'm ready for my number to get punched, but I also found out, like, I got pushed to a couple of moments on the camel track. I was like, I'm not going to go fucking without a fight.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm ready to go, but I'm fucking fight not to.
Yeah.
And that's it. I think that's a good spot to be in.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, last year I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease.
Yeah. I had an ex-missus with that.
I had 10 surgeries last year, and then I was like, you know what? This same line of doctors just keeps fucking me up. So let's go to a different doctor. I went and said nothing to this guy, right? I kept it very minimal. I said that I hadn't had a diagnosis, all this kind of stuff, and he puts me through, does a colonoscopy, and he's like, you've got nothing wrong with you. I was like, oh, so I've been cut open fucking 10 times for nothing. And he's like, yeah. I was like, well, hurrah, let's go to England. Like, literally, that was 4 days. I got that colonoscopy was 4 days before England.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I was like, fuck it, let's go. Let's see what happens, bro. Let's see what happens. Because, like, I spent a full year on my ass. Like, granted, I could podcast, I could make music. I was still creative, but I couldn't exercise. I couldn't go for a walk.
Yeah.
I couldn't do any of these things.
Trust me, walking's overrated. You didn't miss much.
Yeah, dude, I did like 120,000 steps in like 3 days or some shit in England after not walking for like a whole year.
Yeah.
Bruh, I didn't want to do anymore. But I started gymming and stuff while I was over there, you know? Like, I just felt like I had a new lease on life. All because somebody said, hey, bro, you're all good.
Yeah.
Like, if I had somebody tell me that earlier on in the year, would I have stayed like that?
I can't really remember the last time I got actually sick, right? Like for anything more than like a headache, it might be for an hour or two. I can't remember the last time I got actually sick. I literally can't remember it. And I've been saying for 15 odd years, and I don't exactly treat this like a temple. So, but I just always say to someone, I just don't seem to get sick. And I just keep on saying to people, like, I just never get sick. I can't remember my last sick day. I can't remember this. And I wonder how much I've just talked that into reality, or have felt something and just gone, oh, it can't be me because I don't get sick.
Yeah.
And maybe just one day, just drop dead, like
I don't think so.
Like,
well, definitely you're going to die, but we all are.
But I just don't. I don't know how much of that. It's not. I'm not saying it's just all the power of the mind or anything like that. But like for me,
it is,
it seems to.
It is though, right?
It's definitely got a seat at the table,
Because if you're chill enough to believe your own thoughts, like if you like monks, bro, they spend enough time by themselves, they never get sick, all that kind of stuff, because they believe themselves.
I mean, how much evidence do you need? Like, there's so many. Like, But it's one of those things where like you'll take on, because you can take on whatever belief system and operate with that. And they did this study on people's reaction to stress, right? So the study was depending on what someone understood to be true, did that affect their ability to deal with stress. So they had two different groups. One of the groups came in and they were told, the body's reaction to stress is generally positive, because the increased heart rate and other kind of stuff, it gets you ready, and rush of adrenaline, whatever it is, and your brain releases this, and you will absorb more information, you will hold on to it because of the triggers that stress does. And the other one, they're like, it'll trigger cortisol and this and that, and you'll hit fatigue, and it'll start to reduce your mind's ability to absorb information. So, and they cited studies for these people, and the thing is, both of these studies that they cited for them were true, right? So they're giving them true information, and they're giving it to people who are absorbing this true information.
Interesting.
And so they're contradicting studies both with supporting evidence that are both true. And so the test groups generally operated similar to the information that they were given. This one operated, quite well, and the group that were told that stress is going to be a negative influence operated quite poorly on memory retention, energy levels, etc.
Whoa.
So then they grabbed both of those groups and they swapped the information. They said, actually, the whole test, we fed you false information. All right, the body's actual response is this, and they gave the opposite information to each group.
What happened?
Citing that the previous one was, and the results switched. All right.
Whoa.
Right, and they were given two sets. So this is where you've got two sets of information that are both true. All right. So if you're having an argument with someone going, no, this is the case, and it's the negative way. So no, this is the case, and it's a positive way.
Yeah.
The difficult point is both people might be true. So therefore you have a choice, right? You can choose to believe in the negative information, which is true, or absorb or take on that and own that. And you will probably lean towards operating that and getting that result. Or you can take on and go, look, or maybe recognize that maybe that's true, but I just choose to operate like this way, and I choose the positive way. I choose that this will be a more positive outcome, and you will lean towards that. And like the evidence is clear on that. And how many different times do we have to see the successful sports person, business person, the people talking in belief systems, the people saying this is not a capability. This is not because of your physiological prowess and a superiority over someone. This is literally the difference between the guy with the gold and the guy with the bronze. Is this guy had a better sports psychologist or a better mentality or a better belief system?
Yeah,
and that got him in that 0.01 of a second. And that's why he is on the top of that podium. I mean, we engage a sports psychologist for our company. So every single person in the leadership team of our organisation has an individual session with our sports psychologist to talk about whatever they want. They want to talk about, personal development. If they want to talk about their relationship with their parents, girlfriend, this, or how to be the best fucking employee, leader, whatever that they can, or how to play better sport on the weekend. Whatever they want to choose that for, they have an individual session once a quarter with him to do that. Then we bring all of those leaders together and we have a group session with this guy who now integrally knows every single individual. I don't know about anything that happens in those individual sessions, but he does. And he's the facilitator of our group session to bring us all together on the same page for what is our belief system in the leadership of this company, what direction are we taking it, and how do we operate together, communicate together in order to achieve that. And he does so with the integral understanding of every single individual in the room. That works so well in a sports team, right? And I think corporate culture is starting to understand the power of that.
I agree.
And the difference between our company and the company next to us when we're now quoting clients, developing new technology, and we're just delivering financial services, right? And we are slowly picking off the people around us and getting an edge. We're recruiting better people. We're giving a better service ultimately to the clients.
Well, I think it's important to know where you're doing well in what you're doing, you know, and where you're doing bad. Well, not necessarily bad, where you could come up from. Yeah. Like with sports, if you're using a sports psychologist, they're very perceptively driven, where they look at some, like if it's sports that they're working on, they'll look at someone like what's going on in his family life and all that kind of stuff. Like, is there any negativity that could be pulling him, drawing him away from the mindset of being better at whatever he's doing? And if that you're using that in a company, dude, and that's an edge.
I can't have that conversation with the employee.
No.
A lot of people say, "Oh, our company is like a family." Our company is not like a family. No. Right? If you fuck up and you don't perform consistently over time, you're gone. That's not a family mentality. We are a high functioning, operational, sporting organization. We are a team. All right. And there is a brotherhood, sisterhood in that, and a camaraderie in that, but it's not like family. Maybe after a significant number of years, just like a sporting club, someone can make it into a family-style relationship within that organisation.
But I think if it does turn into that, you're all respect. I've found I've been in real estate for most of my adult career. I was in real estate, and whenever there was too much respect for a certain employee, I would be like, "Oh shit, I got to step back from this," because I'm like, "What if they fuck up? I got to shoot their ass eventually." You know, you can't leave a leech hanging on for too long. They suck all the fucking life out of you. So, I understand what you're saying, but I think sometimes having the one-arm distance and saying, we're here for each other, for the company.
And and I suppose that's what the facilitator allows.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Because even though we're that high-functioning team, all right, it's still a person in there who is going through their shit or wants to be better, or is in that constant journey of self-improvement, wanting to be a better, boyfriend, girlfriend, dad, husband, human, operate better in their career, and that does mold together. And as CEO of the place, or if someone else is in a leadership position, we're not necessarily the right people to go in there and delve down that rabbit hole with them. But we recognize that is there, and so we bring in the best possible person we can to go on that journey with them. All right, and that'll be a consistent journey that we go through for the next few years.
That's cool. That's smart.
And I suppose that's about sharing a little bit of the experience that I got to go through over the last 5 years. I got to have that self-reflection. I got to have that meditative kind of, because this facilitator does meditation sessions. He does hypnotherapy. He even do psychedelics. So you can have a company guided psychedelic experience if you want. So it's we don't do things your average way.
Right?
No. In his facility. I won't mention any names, but no. It's about being open to allowing that person to go on whatever journey they want. We've got people in that program that are 66 through to 27, so they're all going to want to approach it a different way. So giving them the freedom to do it, as opposed to the usual corporate, come on this 2-day, let's do some trust falls and then get pissed after it. Which
do some real falls
in some state, bang the company credit card for a few days. I think that's the old school kind of mentality.
Yeah,
hey, we've got a pool table and a table tennis table, and we get smashed at the pub on Fridays. People want more than that now.
Yeah.
That's not good culture.
Get some tits out. Yeah.
You mean still got its place? Still do it.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Man's not a camel.
He just walks with them. I think the teamwork. What do they call it? Team building. That's what they call it. I think team building is paramount and most efficacious during the workday. The bonding is not as important. Like when you're bonding as a community, great, because you have to be around these people. You got to like them. But as long as you guys are aware that that there's a KPI that needs to be met, or I don't know what you're trying to facilitate with your sales, but that's very important.
So I come from a sales background before this, so I was always about they're setting your targets and hitting your targets and sharing commission, give everyone a piece of the action. Right? It's very traditional kind of way.
Yeah.
We were bringing in a whole entire IT overhaul on every single system that we use as a company, and we set 9 months to do it. So it's pretty radical kind of change. So I was like, we can't have sales targets during this time because I want people to focus on training the new systems. So last financial year we had 18.7% growth, and then we changed the company name, we changed, started changing all the systems and removed all sales targets. Our growth rate's now at 38%.
Damn.
So there is no commission, there's no anything. But before I did this, I just increased everyone's wages to a level as if they were getting commission. So I'm like, everyone just gets paid what the bonuses usually would be in most parts in the company. So I gave everyone a bit of a bump, and then said we're going to be focusing on this year. The sales just started to happen. In people's teams, I don't even share with them or make them aware of their individual sales that they've achieved for the month. I just say, as a company, we've achieved 38% so far this year.
Whoa!
So I'm not sure if I'm going to carry that on or what I'm going to do with that, but that has shaken my belief system a little bit, and it was an unexpected side effect of focusing on systems and change management.
Yeah, because I'd imagine taking away specificity of KPI projection and trying to meet those targets, that would alleviate the stress.
I did so accepting that I would probably have a downturn in sales.
Could you still see the numbers though?
Yeah.
How were you fucking playing it off? Were you like, fuck, is this going to go well? Fuck.
So I had no idea.
Yeah.
And
you just didn't
I vocalized that,
right?
This is what I want you to focus on. I didn't say fuck sales.
Yeah.
But I said, this is what I want you to...
We don't need a
put
bottom line.
that phone down.
Do not sign that contract. Yeah. No, I understand. But I was just thinking in like a mentality like of a CEO, that would fuck with someone. If take away the journey. Imagine those two fucking in the same sentence, CEO and you walking with camels.
Oh man,
that's wild.
Most
right?
half the people that worked there I had never met before. I had that function in Geraldton where I finished the camel trek, and I'm going around, it's about 150 people, and I'm running around shaking hands and who are you? And goes, guy, who are you? He's like, I'm Dan. I was like, what are you doing up here? What brought you here? He's like, I work for you. I've worked for you for 2 years. Sorry, mate. Wasn't getting the updates.
Oh shit.
So they're thinking like these people have just gone for an interview, gone through that usual process.
Yeah.
They take the job. So who owns this place?
We got a photo.
He's out there.
Yeah.
Don't Google him.
Yeah.
He's out there doing this camel trek, and that would have been a very kind of confusing. And then all of a sudden, this guy that is going to probably be the new manager, the manager of the place that they've never met, is coming back. Like that, I'm trying to think and put myself in those shoes. They're going to be like, will my whole entire job change? What's going to happen?
Right.
Holy shit. Like, that's an unknown journey for them. Even the people that knew me were going like, who the fuck came back? I got back and I'm like, who the fuck came back? No one knew. So that would have been that was a very interesting dynamic for them, I imagine, on their side of the fence.
I imagine so.
So I didn't take the title of the CEO back for 6 months. So that was an adjustment period for them, and also for me to get to know the people, the company, what happened in there over the last 5 years. They went through COVID, they went through this, they went through their battles. So
you bought the company while it was still in function?
Yeah, so I started it from scratch.
Oh, you started it from scratch.
Grew it over 10 years.
Yeah.
And
then fucked off for 4?
Fucked off.
5?
Yeah.
Yep.
And the 3 longest serving employees took over four longest serving employees took over the management of the place.
So there was an acting CEO while you were there?
Oh, I put in place briefly an acting CEO. He shat the bed, and the 4 longest serving employees go,
we'll take it.
Fire him.
Really?
Because he is, like, if you don't fire him, you won't have a company when by the time you get back.
Hurrah to them.
So I think that worked out really well because they
mutiny to the CEO.
They did. He was voted out. He was voted out. And
how long after you left?
Within a year. So he didn't last a year.
Oh, okay, wow.
So he came in, started running it, and just started shitting the bed. So it's the worst year in company history. Whoa. And I thought the company was just gone through an adjustment, but they're like, no, this guy's gone rogue. He's not signing new business. People hate him. They called him the sniper because he'd run around. It's like you don't work hard enough to be on your phone, and just sniper comments around.
You were Steve Jobs. You left and it went to shit.
Yeah. But the fact that he shat the bed so hard, gave them the confidence to go, I don't know if I can do it, but I can do better than that. I know I can do better than that. He dropped the bar so low, they're like, we can look awesome casually stepping over that. Yeah, like that was a shit show.
Was there growth while you were gone?
Yeah, so the 18.7% that was achieved, that was their last year while they were at the helm. So
congratulations.
They did really well. So couldn't be more proud of those guys because they just stepped into that role. And I think being a 4-way management team, they were able to be there for each other, and so their bond kind of really clicked in together.
Maybe someone had skills that another person wouldn't have, and Was there any females in management?
2 girls, 2 guys.
Awesome, perfect. Yeah, I think management needs that. Yeah, the female dynamic. I don't know why, but when there's too many hot-headed fucking males, the testosterone just goes nuts and it just crumbles. Like sales are great, don't get me wrong, but the decorum is fucked up.
And I almost think it can grow to a point and then it kind of stalls. And you need. Well, for me, I like the guidance, support, and humanity and structure that a female kind of brings into the company,
and the empathy of the people, like in the business. Yeah, because I know what I was like when I was at the top of my game. I was like, if you ain't fucking meeting sales, fuck off. Yeah, But like, I'd have a sit down of like, either the call center manager would come up to me and she'd be like, "Why are you firing him? He's had a bad week. Who cares?" I'm like, all right. Okay.
I mean, we've never hired for a quota or done any of this, but the natural kind of ebb and flow is it just wound up with two females and 2 males in the highest paid positions in the executive team managing the company whilst I was gone.
It worked out perfectly.
That's just the way it kind of works.
Cream
I think
and butter,
when you don't try and force and a lot of these things that people are pushing in, if you're just a level-headed kind of normal person looking at the best possible outcome for your company, you're probably going to end up with a pretty even split across the board.
Yeah.
It depends on what industry you're in.
If you're a greedy fuck, you're probably like, oh, I could probably double sales and not even be here. Let's put like a bunch of hungry men at the top.
No, it's that now. We've got AI now.
Yeah. If you're in law,
put a bunch of hungry robots.
Hungry for money. Apparently, law is completely shit itself now. You can't it's impossible. Like, there's no point being a lawyer.
Durack and one of the massive legal firms in WA, 160 years old, went bust. It's gone bust this year.
That's fucked
after
up.
160 years.
Like Blackburn, is it?
No. Durack and something. I can't remember. But they How would you feel like you're at the helm of that company? 160 years. It's been through 2 wars, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Like, would have lost half their workforce. Actually, their lawyers. They probably would have lost, 2 people.
Yeah.
They would have negotiated their way out of
They went
the
through
war.
the Great Depression.
Yeah, and then you're at the helm. You're one of the partners in that place, and you run it into the ground. Like, God, that's got to be embarrassing.
Well, wasn't Perth only settled fucking 235 years ago?
Yeah, so like pretty early on.
Like fucking 60 years after you get here, you're like, I'm going to start a fucking law
Basically,
firm.
as soon as there was a building with more than one level on it, they moved in.
Yeah.
And now they're gone.
Yeah. We don't want to get shot. Duels in the street. Yeah. No, law is one of those things that I always wanted to be a lawyer. I find it fascinating, the justice system. Truly unfair, but fascinating. And then as soon as AI came out, like, they could just write up a document, anything that you need ever, and look up anything, like that has ever been written.
It's like when Google was out and everyone started, like using it as a doctor.
Yeah.
And the doctors were like, no, you got, you can't self-diagnose. The lawyers are all kind of doing that now with AI. They're just like, oh no, the documents that we do are,
They're better. That's that conspiracy theory that's why WebMD, even if you have a blood nose, says you have cancer. So you go to a real doctor. Yeah. I think the Doctors Association actually pays WebMD to like just everything's cancer.
But I mean, the thing that lawyers will always have, right? I had a mate who's a lawyer. He's a bit of a shark.
Liars. That's the thing, right? Is lies. They can lie.
Something he said always kind of stuck with me. He had this Bentley, right? He pulls the Bentley into the driveway. He says, see that car? I was like, yeah. He's like, do you want paid for that? I was like, what's that? He's like, principal. And I'm like, what, principal interest? I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, every single time a client comes in and goes, it's not the law, it's the principal. And he goes, I just fucking go. This guy's going to fight it whether it makes sense or not. This guy's just going to pay the bill. It's another Bentley.
Fuck. That's true. I don't see too many like successful lawyers driving a Corolla.
Nah.
They're always fucking ego fucking driven motherfuckers. They love it. They're like, watch what I can do.
Yeah.
That's the word spelling. You spell words. I always find that fascinating that it's like casting spells.
Yeah.
Like you can lie. The way you talk to someone or about someone or convey an idea has the magical aspect to transform someone into. You can make them feel negative. You can make them feel positive. You can make them sad, happy, angry. All these different things. And like with lawyers, their only talent, if it is a talent, is to be able to use spells.
And like that's people talk about if you're in a position of power that you can come in and like in my company, for example, like it's not just me, the CEO, who can come in and fuck everyone's day up, like just with the words that come out of my mouth. An entry level person into the company or someone in the support team or administration team can be have a shit of the day and using nothing but words and tone come in and ruin everyone's day within minutes. We're pretty lucky that it doesn't happen too often. But you got a bunch of people who have just been all thrown in together. Someone's going to have a bad day eventually, and with nothing but words. Like there's no effect, there's no physical, and not even directed at some of the people. People just hear the words that are being said and the tone that they're being said, and it immediately changes your outlook, your demeanor, and stuff like that. It will affect the whole entire organisation. And conversely the exact same. Someone comes in bouncing off the walls and you're like, oh shit.
Attitude is magnetic, right? Positive draws to positive.
Yeah, so you think about the whole like company and the culture and everything. It's a moving, living, breathing organism, right? And it will have its good days and its bad days. It'll be up, it'll be down, and like you're just trying to get the trend to sit in a more positive and performance kind of mode. To be in that. I suppose the company flow state. Essentially.
A little
the
higher
whole
vibration.
Company's an organism like that. It's funny where 2 departments perform well. and the rest seem to be going pretty well at the same time. And a couple of departments start to shit the bed a little bit. You'd think the other ones would step up, but they, you know, like it's generally like we're on or we're off. Like when the good months are fucking absolutely cracking, and you know the bad ones are, you know, you take the hit.
Yeah, I remember my first financial sales training session, and I went in and like genuinely, I said this. There was like 16 people in this training session, commission only job, and I was like, I didn't understand financial sales, and I didn't understand percentages and like how much, like what is their what do they call it back in the day? Your retirement shortfall. Right? Yeah. That kind of shit. And I was like, genuine curiosity.
Yeah.
I said, is this a scam? Everybody's face in the room, including the guy doing the training, was like, wait, is he being serious? Like, is this a scam?
Yeah.
And I think like 8 people walked out that day. I stayed there. Then the guy pulled me across and he was like, can you shut the fuck up? It's not a fucking, like, have you seen my car? Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, true. Well,
Well, scammers generally drive pretty nice cars. I'm not sure if that's the defense.
Yeah. But it sold me. I was young and hungry.
Jordan Belfort had a pretty nice car, boat, house, missus. Like, you know, I don't think that, spoke to his legitimacy during his growth.
No. But he was a good salesperson. He understood where I was at in my life. I came in, I had fuck all, he had everything. And well, now that I say everything, I'm like, he had fucking low self-esteem, all that shit, you know? As a human, he was probably dog shit.
Yeah.
But
maybe it was good. Who knows?
It was good at the time.
Maybe he just needed a camel trek, mate.
I think so. I think most people fucking do, bro, to be honest. Well, John, this has been fantastic, man.
Yeah, man, I enjoyed the chat.
Yeah, it was good. Oh, what a documentary.
So Cam Watt, they're currently just done a couple of teasers for that one there. So they're going into a round of funding so that they can start the production of the first round. And then they'll pitch it to the streaming services. So we're probably expecting 2025. You'll see something in the documentary. Ooh. And you've got to have the book before the movie, right?
Of course.
That's given me the rush to try and finish. So I'm about 90,000 words in now, and I have not sought out a publisher yet because I want to actually complete it, and then I'll be shopping the book to publishing houses because it will need to be heavily edited.
Right, one eye.
Yeah. So that'll probably be about mid next year as well.
Right.
So I imagine.
Do you have a goal of how many words you want to get on?
So a girlfriend of mine wrote a book about her adventure story. She said she wrote about 130,000 words. They edited it down to about 90.
So you're already there.
So I'm like, oh, well,
you probably get about 6,000.
I'll probably get to about 150,000 or so, and it'll probably come back down to about 100, 120 or so.
Perfect.
Because there'll be a lot of stuff that I'll think is relevant because it was really relevant and big for me, and they'll go, look, in the overall arc of the story, we don't care about your blue balls. It's gone.
I don't know. I think that's pretty fascinating.
There goes 15,000 words.
I dreamt about jerking myself off.
Did the sex dream have to be a whole chapter?
Why are they all glued together?
The sex dream was just about you playing with yourself, right? A chapter was not necessary.
Why did you write it like fucking Grey's Anatomy? Yeah, dude. Fascinating, bro. Really, really fascinating chat.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this.
Well, we'll go for a beer with your mate who just got back now.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it. I think he gets back at 1 a.m. So,
we'll get started. We'll get started then.
Jesus. Thank you, John.
All right, mate.
If you're down, ready to go, wanna fly away with you, float away, fly away.